School year, and this meeting is now in order. So to avoid disruptions in our meeting and to respect all attendees of this executive committee meeting, the chair, me, requested all cell phones be turned off, silent, on mute. If you must answer a cell phone, do so outside the room in which you are currently seated for the same reason. Also, please be aware of any background noise, no matter how insignificant. It really carries through the audio system and disrupts people out there trying to listen to us. As this meeting is being broadcast live on YouTube, and are we up on YouTube back there? Thumbs up. Excellent, thank you. As this meeting is being broadcast live on YouTube, which, by the way, please let all of your members know that if they want to watch our proceedings, they go to our club's YouTube account. And not only are we posting the meeting afterward on YouTube, but it is being streamed live on YouTube. So there's no excuse, no reason why our members are not able to watch this proceedings. This meeting will be held online via broadcast Zoom meeting. Any other recording, transmittal, or retransmittal of this executive committee meeting is not authorized. Any violation of this policy may be subject to legal and/or disciplinary measures. Proprietary rights of our corporations and members need to be respected. All right, if there's no objection, the chair proposed to the meeting opening ceremonies will be postponed until the IBT meeting. All right, there are no objections. This meeting will continue without ceremony. All right, recording secretary, please call the roll.
Good morning, President Eric McHenry.
Here.
Vice President Karen Hamquist.
Here.
Second Vice President Karen Fisher.
Present.
Third Vice President Millie O'Donnell.
Present.
Recording Secretary, me here. Treasurer Matt Hackney, absent. Immediate past President Ty Mott.
Here.
Parliamentarian Joanne Miller.
Here. Present.
Corporate Manager Lori Plummer.
Present.
Trustee Justin Humphreys. Absent. So we have 1, 2, 7 members are present. A quorum is present.
All right, thank you. And as the secretary announced, a quorum is present. For your information, for this body, a quorum is defined as 5. All right, so a couple of appointments. First, without objection, Joanne Miller will be appointed parliamentarian for 2022 to 2023. All right, hearing no objection, Joanne will be appointed parliamentarian. Joanne, thank you for your past and Joanne going forward. Joanne is your friend. If you have questions about parliamentary procedures outside of the meeting, feel free to reach out to her directly. It also includes Tom Smith, our CBO chair. A lot of the things that you may be wondering about can be addressed before meetings, well in advance of meetings, such that this meeting can continue along at a appropriate pace. All right, so a proposed agenda for this meeting is before you. Without objection, this will be the agenda for this meeting. All right, hearing no objection, this will be the agenda for this meeting. So minutes. Did you get those distributed or? All right. The minutes of the July 21st Executive Committee hybrid meetings have been distributed to each member of this committee and should be before them at this time. And by the way, we all know that Durban International Rally with basically back-to-back meetings, it's really hard to keep on our desired time frame of having all correspondence and documents to you at least 2 weeks in advance. So I apologize in advance for the late minutes, but I hope you all understand it's just complex here to be able to do this, especially with back-to-back meetings. All right, so without objection, we will dispense with the reading of the minutes. Hearing no objection, we will dispense with the reading of the minutes. All right, do we have any corrections to the minutes? Looking to my left and to my right. Third Vice President. I'm just going to say Millie. Is that okay?
That works for me.
You got the mic, please.
The Ontario is listed as Region 10.
It's not.
No, it is not.
On page 2 on the new logo design.
Oh, no. May I, Mr. President? No, there should be a comma after Ontario Canada Airstream Club because you approved logos for Ontario and Region 10.
Thank you.
Camilla, does that address your, okay, thank you very much. Any other corrections or adjustments to the minutes proposed by the exec committee? All righty. All right, looking for approval of the minutes.
Oh, no, they're just a.
All right, approved as is.
Mhm.
All right, the next agenda on the report is report of the officers. First, the president report. I'm going to defer my president's report until the IBT. Any other officer report to this time? First vice president? None at this time. Second vice president?
Not at this time.
Third vice president?
No, sir.
Immediate past president?
Not this time.
All righty. Okay, at this time, I would like to ask any additional members of the board to have any other presentations or comments. Lori, corporate manager?
I'll defer to the IBT.
Okay, great. And your voice is robust, but Mike, please. Try to pick the right word.
I will defer to the IBT.
Awesome, thank you. Our trustee, Justin Humphreys, is not present. I don't see him online, so next, is there any correspondence to be read? And this is stuff that we would have received in advance through one of three areas, either voice to voice, email, through our website, etc. So is there any correspondence to be read?
No.
Is there so there's no correspondence. Is there a treasurer report? Matt Hackney is not present, so I would defer to the first vice president, Kara Hemquist, who is a part of the budget subcommittee.
Defer.
This is regards to motion, special work committee.
No, he can defer.
I'd like to defer this report, Mr. President. Thank you, Kara. Next order of business is special orders. There are two special orders to come before the executive committee. The first is approval of the standing committee chairs. Terry, would you please read the names of the standing committee chairs for 2022 to 2023?
I will. Budget, Per Hamquist. Caravan, John Becker. Constitution and Bylaws, Tom Smithson. Ethics and Grievance, Bob Caldwell. Historical, Joe Poplinski. Information Technology, Mark Neidham. International Rally, Eric McHenry. International Rally Site, Bob Stansberry. International Relations, Per Hamquist. Lifetime Membership Fund, Karen Fisher. Long Range Planning, Millie O'Donnell. National Rallies, Kate Coast. Publications, Hedda Smithson. Technical, Dick Martin. There are subcommittees who don't have a representative yet, and those will be deferred.
All right, thank you, Terry. Are there any questions from the executive committee on the standing chairs for the next fiscal year? All right, without objection, these will be the standing committee chairs for 2022 to 2023. Also, I'm pleased to announce that I will be appointing a special committee. This will be chaired by past international president Mona Heath, and she's going to be taking a look to review and develop a new nominations process. The special committee will present its report before the end of this upcoming quarter, so within 3 months or so. And as Mona has already started to reach out to people, if any of your members are interested, any of the members are interested in working with Mona to help articulate and define the nominations process, particularly given the amendment we just passed, please reach out to her directly. They do not have to be officers. They do not have to be in any particular region. To get their names to Mona, she will develop a team and start working on it. All right, thank you. The second special order is the approval of the budget and forwarding the proposed budget to the IBT for adoption. Per Hamquist, chair of the budget committee, will present the proposed budget.
Mr. President, I would like to defer this to the regular IBT meeting.
You have to do your special order one. Okay, hang on.
Just hold on a second. I have to thank Farrah for stepping in. Matt had hoped that he'd be able to get into at least cell phone coverage, but I believe he's up in Chicken, Alaska, or Frog, I don't know where it is. And he called me. I heard about every quarter word he said. I said, you know, Matt, Farrah will handle it for now, and we'll see what happens next. Okay, Farrah, you ready?
Yes, I am. Would I like to read the motion?
Yes.
I move that the WBCCI Executive Committee as defined by the WBCCI Constitution, Article 9, Section 2, approves the WBCCI 2022-2023 budget.
Thank you. This motion does not require a second since it came from a committee. Please read your purpose, impact, background, and financial impact statement.
Purpose, this motion seeks executive committee approval for the 2022-2023 budget. Background, the club's operating budget is approved one fiscal year at a time by the WBCCI International Board of Trustees. The executive committee prepares the budget and seeks approval from the International Board of Trustees. The first step in the approval process is to have the budget be ratified by the executive committee. Financial impact, see the 2022-2023 budget.
Thanks, Bear. Are there questions or discussion from the committee? All right, this motion is to approve the budget for 2022 to 2023 and forward it to the IBT for adoption. Are you ready for the question? The vote is on the motion to approve the budget for 2023 to 2023 and forward it to the IBT for adoption. Without objection, this motion will be approved. All right, hearing none, the motion is approved. The exec committee has approved the budget for 22 to 23 and will forward it to the IBT for adoption. Thanks, Pierre, for stepping into that. All right, unfinished business. At this point, we do not have any unfinished business. Is there any new business? All right, and also this includes new business. By the way, it's not just us, it's the audience. Oh, that's for the IBT. All right, thank you. All right, if there is no new business, this concludes executive committee meeting for July 30, 2022. And it is 12 minutes after 10. We're going to start the full IBT at 10:30. All right, for 17 minutes. All right, thank you very much. The meeting is adjourned. Gotcha. Okay.
Get your water over here if anyone wants.
I apologize for my. Any other recording, transmittal, or retransmittal of this meeting is not authorized. Any violation of this policy may be subject to legal and/or disciplinary measures. Proprietary rights of our corporation and members need to be respected. For the start of this meeting, we will have a moment of silence. Thank you. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States by International First Vice President Pierre Adams. Pierre, please begin.
Yes, it is the custom and privilege of citizens of the United States of America to pledge allegiance to our country's flag. We invite citizens of other countries to pledge allegiance, to stand with us and honor your country as we honor our flag and country. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pierre. Please all be seated. Okay, the proposed rules for this hybrid IBT meeting are as follows. Any board member may speak for this meeting after being recognized by the chair. Members will have the chance to be heard, all of you then. All speakers must give their name, office, local club affiliation, or state that they are a member at large. Remarks are to be limited to 3 minutes, except where approved by the chair. And we've got our flags down there, so thank you. We've got red, and we have yellow, and we have green or blue. I'm not sure what the deal is. 1 and 3 or 3 and 1, how does that work?
2 minutes. 2-minute warning.
2 minutes is yellow,
3 minutes,
red is 3 minutes, you're done.
and this is a 20-minute
Discussion.
Gotcha. Thank you. All righty. In lieu of in-person participation, members are able to submit questions or comments to the IBT through an online form located on our website at airstreamclub.org/IBT, and then look for the 2022 IBT summer meetings page. All questions or comments submitted prior to the start of the meeting have been reviewed and were distributed to the IBT. They will be addressed during the appropriate discussions. Questions or comments submitted on the online form during the IBT meeting will be reviewed as soon as possible and forwarded to the IBT. After each updated report or action item is presented, feedback will be requested from International Board of Trustees, followed by Region Vice Presidents. If there have not been any questions or comments submitted from the audience, the discussion will end when the chair calls for the question. Speakers may speak twice on each item, but those who wish to speak a second time must wait until all those who want to speak first have done so. And as already described, there will be a yellow card for 2 minutes, and 3 minutes will be a red card. And the speaker will stop. There will be a limit of 20 minutes for discussion, and that's the blue card on each motion until the chair, unless the chair extends the time. Thank you. If a roll call vote is necessary, I think we all know what a roll call vote is nowadays. The IBT secretary will randomly call on board members. When the chair calls for the question, only trustees may vote, so the board members, the board members. If there is no objection, these will be the rules for the meeting. All righty, hearing no objection, these are the rules for this meeting. The secretary will call the roll call.
Good morning. President Eric McHenry.
Present.
Vice President Per Hamquist.
Present.
Second Vice President Karen Fisher.
Present.
Third Vice President Millie O'Donnell.
Present.
Recording Secretary me, I'm here. Treasurer Matt Hackney is absent. Immediate past President Ty Mott.
Present.
Region 1 President Bard Fuller.
Present.
Region 2 President R.J. Marquette.
Present.
Region 3 Present Christine Baum.
Present.
Region 4 President Brad Briggs.
Present.
Region 5 President Artie Martin.
Present.
He is present via Zoom. I couldn't quite hear you, but I did read your lips. Present. Region 6 President Larry Madden.
Present.
Region 7 President Ginger Slattery.
Present.
Region 8 President Greg Wagner.
Present.
Region 9 President Nancy Fitzgerald.
Present.
Region 10 President Kathy Beatty.
Present.
Region 11 President Stephen Parr.
Present.
Region 12 President Laverne McHenry.
Present.
Parliamentarian Joanne Miller.
Present.
Corporate Manager Lori Plummer. Present. Trustee Justin Humphries is absent.
We have a quorum. And by the way, for definition of this meeting, an IBT quorum defined as 10. We have all region presidents present.
It's 12.
Well, I defer to the parliamentarian for this definition of quorum.
The quorum is 10. The quorum, according to our governing documents, is 10 for this meeting at this time.
That hasn't been changed yet?
No, hasn't been
Apologize.
changed yet.
So we have 10 and 12, we're doing good. All right, a proposed agenda for this meeting is before you. Without objection, this will be the agenda. Hearing no objections, this will be the agenda for this meeting. Okay, the minutes of the July 21st IBT meeting have been distributed electronically to the members of this board and should be before them at this time. Do you all have, did you all get copies of the minutes? Nods of heads? Okay, great. And by the way, I've mentioned this in the exec committee meeting. You know, one of the best practices I've seen is to get every information out to both you, the board, and our members at least 2 weeks at a time. Obviously, given that the last meeting was only a week ago, that's impossible, but that is our commitment. And the reason for getting it to you and the members 2 weeks ahead of time are twofold. One is transparency. We want to just make sure that all of our members understand what we're doing. They can watch us live, they can look at the documents and prepare comments. The other one is for you. I'll be talking about in my president's report that, I need to give you guys the information you need to contribute to the discussion and make decisions. So we'll be really enforcing deadlines, submission deadlines, and anything that doesn't come in before the deadline will get pushed to the next IBT. That's only fair in the sense that you guys need time to look at it. I think when any of us are handed a piece of paper the night before, it's really hard for us to correlate that to what we may have seen a couple of days before, a week before. So that is my prompt to you. We'll get all documents on there and we'll push the agenda to the next meeting. All right, without objection, we shall dispense with the reading of the minutes. Hearing none, we will dispense with the reading of the minutes. Are there any corrections to these minutes? All right, there's no corrections. The minutes are approved as distributed. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is a report of the officers. First, the president report. What I have to say is that, as you all know, we are shifting to a new board platform. It's called Board Portal. The first official meeting using the board portal will be our August 18th IBT meeting. So for this meeting, we are following the published agenda, the published material on airstreamclub.org/IBT. But in the future, everything will be on the board portal. As part of the board portal rollout, we will be having a training session led by a trainer from the manufacturer, just the creator. And they'll be talking to the board, joining us by Zoom and helping us understand how to use the board portal, how to find documents, how to find financial libraries, things like that. So I appreciate you guys looking at it ahead of time, but there's no expectation that you're up on the portal for this meeting. All right, my president report. And again, this is in the board portal, but I don't expect you to have seen it. I will make it as part of the next meeting as well. So first, thank you for your service. It's a choice of where you spend your time and your energy, and you're spending it here with us, and it's highly appreciated. I'm going to be respectful of your time. I'll conduct the meetings in as efficient manner as possible and practical. I appreciate your desire to focus on the membership and long-term sustainability of our club. So some of the things I do want to share with the board, and I do this every time with a new board or someone I join, is that, please be prepared for each meeting. And there's nothing like coming into a meeting and you're the motion maker, and the board to which you're presenting, you haven't spent the time to look at your work that you've done over the last couple of months. So please be prepared. The motion makers appreciate it. Your fellow board members appreciate it. Read the background information and be ready to contribute your thoughts, your insights, and your recommendations. Focus on the high level, not the minutia. Errors in spelling, punctuation, and clerical things. I really don't want to waste your all's precious time on the board working on those things. If you've done your research ahead of time, which I hope you all have, if you see any clerical errors, get them to the motion maker in advance of the meeting and don't wait until the board meeting, right? We get the luxury of having you all here very infrequently. I want to keep you guys focused on the high levels of policy and guidance for our club, not clerical minutia. Alrighty, but it's got to be correct. So we'll figure it out. I like to do it ahead of time though. Be engaged. We need your regional participation. You guys are here for a reason. You understand your regions better than us here on your executive council does. You know your constituents, and we need that brought to the meeting. And that's why you're here, and please bring your regional perspectives to that. Also, I'm going to ask that you all be ready to compromise. We are 12 regions, 18,000 members, so we will have differences. And our job is to integrate those differences into the policy decisions that are acceptable to all of our members. So be ready to compromise. Again, that's what we're here for, and hopefully a better job than our federal government at times has been unable to do. I will ask that you meet your commitments, and if you're on a standing committee or you're on some special task force or special committee, and you've committed to this board to have a report ready by the second quarter meeting, have it ready by the second quarter meeting. There's nothing worse than kicking these cans down the road and not making any decisions. So meet your commitments or check in with me ahead of time, and we'll get some extra resources assigned to get those commitments fulfilled. Focus on the members, not on ourselves, right? We're here to serve, not be served. Again, the board portal is right there, and I talked about the deadlines for board agendas. You know, starting on the 18th, if anyone submits something that is after the submission deadline, we'll push it 3 months later. And the nice thing about that is that in old days, we had 2 IBTs a year. Now we have once a quarter. So if you miss your deadline, don't worry, you have another shot 3 months later. Right, so near-term things. Well, the International Rally, of course, and we're calling it Rally 2023. Lori and her team have standardized on a naming convention. You know, it's great to say Freiburg, it's great to say Loveland, it's great to say, you know, Lebanon, but a lot of our members don't know where those towns are ahead of time. It doesn't do well on social media search either. And so the branding will be Rally 2023 if we're looking for it, because people can find that, right? And then they'll find out where it is. So Rally 2023, as you all saw, I hope you've registered. I think, Lori, we have roughly how many registrations now?
We have 421 as of this last night.
All right, thank you. So let's move it on. What I say is that upon registration, our members are invited to the arrival date. The standard arrival date is Saturday, and if they want to pay $50 or 100 or 150, they can come in early. The data that I last saw was that about half of our members who have registered so far have registered for the base rate coming in on Saturday. The other one half have been spread across the prior 3 arrival dates. I know Larry Owens, our RAT team leader, is happy that that's working out as planned. That way it helps people park on a regular basis. So you've all heard there'll be no business meetings during the rally. You know, we aligned our IBT meetings to coincide with 2 weeks after the end of our fiscal quarter. Doesn't matter when the rally is. Our IBT meetings are 2 weeks after the end of the fiscal quarter to allow us to focus on fiscal accountability results for the prior quarter. So no business meetings at the rally. There's no early arrival for us either, right? You know, because there's no IBT meetings, there's no reason to have the attendees, other attendees fund us to come in early, because that's actually is what happens, right? You know, we don't just get to come here. So if you want to come early, there's a couple of ways. The one I would ask is do what some of us have done. And Laverne and I volunteered on Larry Owens' RAT team. We've been here since about the 11th, you know, painting signs and doing things. I got to tell you, you probably all heard it. A lot of our members love the fact that a number of you have been out there and volunteering and greeting them as they come on the rally. So if you want to come in early, volunteer for a committee that comes in early, or pay the $50 or $100 or $150. We're going to do some volunteer recognition. You know, I think we do a wonderful job of recognizing our chairs. We do a wonderful job of recognizing ourselves, frankly. We do not do a good job of recognizing our volunteers. One of the things that Laverne and I felt very strongly about is that we have roughly 160 volunteers. This is a volunteer-led rally, roughly 160 volunteers, and we give them nothing. And so for 2023, we're going to be giving all of our rally volunteers a commemorative t-shirt that says a nice logo on the front, something in the back, and thank you for your time. We're also going to be having a lunch as well, or something for the rallies to thank the volunteers, to thank them for their contribution. I think it's the right thing to do, and I've got nothing but support from that. The other big one is how we're going to be managing our rallies. How are we going to be identifying our rally sites? How are we going to be picking them? The role of the exec committee, the role of the IBT, the role of the corporate manager. And we're not going to talk about that today, because guess what? We have it teed up on the 3rd of our exec committee meeting, and it's part of the agenda already for the 18th. So wait 2 weeks. And that'll give Lori and her team a chance to send out her proposal, what we're doing. You'll have a chance to review it in depth, and then we'll talk about it for as long as you want. Not today. We not have yet had a time to review it ourselves, frankly, the final one. I've also mentioned to all of you, I'm really pleased to reiterate that we're not having a midwinter IBT. And people are like, oh, why not? Well, as you all know, I think the beauty is we're having something I think that'll work better for us. At least we'll try it this year. So in May of 2023, Bob Wheeler, president of Airstream, and Justin Humphreys, they've agreed to host the IBT in their executive boardroom at Jackson Center during May. And so in our travel budget, we paid for round trip expenses for travel and lodging for the board members for a 2 to 3 day business meeting in Jackson Center. And again, it's going to be business. First Vice President Per Hamquist, who has a passion for long-range planning. He's offered, and I've agreed. I'm really happy. He's going to lead the creation and structure of that meeting. There's a lot to do. If you've ever been in a real strategy meeting, there's a lot of things to do. Sort of like getting started, kind of what our mission, our vision is, and then kind of getting down to our priorities and our prioritization. So Para's going to be leading that, and more information will be coming, but no midwinter IBT. By the way, this will be hybrid. One of the cool things that Bob showed Laverne and me and Lori when we were back there at Jackson Center is that because they're a worldwide organization with a US-wide dealership, they have really good hybrid meeting capabilities in that room, right, for the dealer meetings. So it will be broadcast over Zoom, and we'll have the ability to interface, interact with our members, probably better than we can do it here from acoustics and things like that, lighting and visuals. So that'd be fun. We'll give it a go. The nominations process, special committee. I've just announced to the exec committee that I was really pleased that Mona Heath continued to contribute to the club more than even just last night, which is phenomenal in the opening ceremony. So there was no one better than Mona in my mind to lead the board through the process of how do we put in place a nominations process that hits our objectives of being open, transparent, getting the right people in, vetting them if that's required. So Mona's going to lead that off. She's agreed to bring it back to the board, this group, within 1 month, at least for getting started. She's already started to form a team. And I told at the last meeting that if any of you have members who are interested in contributing, have them reach out to Mona directly, right? They don't have to be officers. They don't have to be tenures in the club. They just have to reach out to Mona, and Mona will pull together a group of people to help us figure out how to get this next slate of potential officers up here with you. One last thing, some clarification of roles and responsibilities. Yeah, we're a social club, but right now we're conducting business. And so you'll notice, probably have already started to notice, that if it has to deal with us, the board, bring it to me, not to Lori. If it has to do with operations of how our club operates, bring it to Lori, right? And so you'll see that the communications of our board meetings, communications of board issues, bring them to me. You'll see that I'm communicating with you directly on that. And that helps Lori focus on operating the club, which is where she wants to be and she's great at. But board stuff is me. So your job, and you know this already as board members, is what we call the fiduciary responsibility. And you can take a look at my notes, but it's basically to do what you already do. You know, take a look at the club, make sure we're going in the right direction, help set policy, look at the financials, all that stuff. So anyway, those are the roles and responsibilities, but in particular, it's the board related stuff. If you as a board member have something that's not operational, bring it to me. And some of you have done it already, and it's just been great. So, all right, any questions on that? That concludes my my president's report. All right. Okay, are there any other reports from the officers? First Vice President.
Yes, Mr. President, I'm really very excited to see that strategic planning is finally moving out the think tank and into the broader IBT. And I look forward to help the club prepare a first plan that spans administrations. Thank you.
Thanks, Barry. Karen, Second Vice President.
No report it.
All right, thank you.
No report.
Millie, Third Vice President, welcome to the board.
Thank you very much, Eric. I don't have a report. I just would like to thank Lori and the team and all the volunteers. This rally has been spectacular.
It has been. Look at the tie down there. It was a Ty smiling down there. He's got the chair Andy had for the last year. He's got that grin on his face, sort of the post-retirement grin, almost. All right, Ty, do you have a report for us today? Or would you like to say a few words?
I just want to thank everybody for coming out here and enjoying Maine. Everybody's travel safe home. And all the board members, remember, you're here to represent your members of your unit. So talk to them, okay? And make sure you communicate with them. You got to bring their voice forward for everything.
Thanks, Ty. All right, any other reports from this time? Lori Plummer, do you have a report from the corporate manager?
Actually, I do. Lori Plummer, corporate manager. I just want to touch on a few things, try to keep everybody updated what is happening at HQ. First of all, I want to thank staff for being so dedicated to the club and working tirelessly and to make sure our members get the answers they need. And I also want to commend them for their politeness and professionalism to our members, even when some of our members are not so gracious to them, so they step above, and I certainly appreciate that. For the team that's here with me, I want to thank you for taking the last 2 weeks out of your families to be here to help support our members and all of our volunteers in this cool state of Maine. Oh, hi.
Next week it's gonna be 45 here again.
Of course it is. You know, it's the aluminum, right, that brings everything together. So again, thank you all. Thanks for all of our volunteers. I think we've had a very successful rally, so thank you so much. Membership is still booming. Actually, I was notified this morning that we processed 70 new members last week. As of today, we have 8,820 memberships. So I'm kind of skimming over my report. It is in the board effect portal, but I'm just doing some, I have a toothache, so bear with me. So when I started back in 2014, we were having 18 new members weekly. Our last 12-month average is we are at 48 new members a week. At our current rate, we should crest 9,900 memberships by the end of the year if we continue on this path. Can I put my finger on it why that's happening? Nope. But I can contribute, I believe, between the sales of Airstream Inc., our new robust social media platforms that's continually being out there, putting positive spins on and just being involved in the social media world more so than what we have been has affected people coming to the club. So I'm very excited about that. I hope to work with our international membership chair when they're appointed to work on engagement and retention of these folks coming in, making sure we get them in the club and get them to a rally. Since my time here, I've heard once they got to that rally and had a good time, then they're hooked. And you guys all represent that. Most of you have been in the club for some time. So I believe that is one of our next goals that we really need to focus on. I mentioned the other day, but just want to mention again, we do have some new features on the website. Members can join affiliates, interclubs when they join, renew, or even during the mid-year. I think some of the interclubs have noticed, and the affiliates have noticed a rise in new people coming to you. So that's great. If you don't see a local club or an interclub listed on our website, that is because they have chosen not to participate. It is the interclub and local clubs option. Auto renewals, which just went live. Sorry, I'm not good on timeline right now. I think it was 2 weeks ago. It could be 3 weeks ago. I really don't know. But so the auto renewal process is out. So when you go to renew your memberships, starting in September, have that button. You can check it for an auto renewal, put your credit card in, which is secured through a third party. And then when next year, when it's almost time, we'll start pinging you with emails letting you know that we're going to auto renew your membership. We also have coming live partners can renew instead of just primary. I don't know if some of you know in the past, we only allowed the primary to renew a membership, and now we're going to allow both partners and primary members. So that should make things a little bit easier. And also as a reminder, all logged in members can go and download rosters. You can go find, search Big Red Numbers. You can do your member directory. You can look for other clubs and interclubs. So all of that is behind our gateway. Just to touch on some of the international rally stuff. Eric explained most of 2023 that had going on. Hey, I can skip over that. The team will be out there towards the end of August. In about 3 weeks, we'll be out there to finalize some details, but we're super excited about being out in Rock Springs. 2024, I can tell you it's going to be in the Region 8 area. Eric has done a lot of footwork on that, and so we're going to be finalizing that information also towards the end of September, October. So that'll be coming forward. For 2025, we've had several venues we are looking at, and that's all going to be in the eastern part, as well as getting a preliminary list together for 2026. One of the goals as we've been working on this is to make sure that we can get dates out as early as possible, so we can try to help work with our caravans, our region rallies, our national events to try. I mean, I know we're going to have a conflict at some point, but not as many. A lot of our cancellations come, for the rally, we hear, oh, I got accepted on a caravan, things of that nature. So again, the goal is to try to avoid those conflicts so our members can enjoy both caravans, rallies, or whatever it is they have planned. We also have a partnership with US Bank to allow or help clubs, local clubs, if they want to process credit cards, things of that nature. We finally got a new rep which he's fantastic. He's already got Florida online, so I'll be distributing that information in the next couple of weeks to let local clubs know that. Their rates are compatible with PayPal, if not a little bit cheaper. So we're under one big umbrella. And that's all I have right now. Thank you.
Oops, how do I do this?
Hi, Lori. The auto renewal for the membership, is that also going to include the affiliate clubs too?
Yes.
So everything.
Yes, your affiliates. And so I think the affiliates, interclubs, whatever you have listed. So when we started this project, our goal is to have a one-stop shop for members. So when they get online to do it, they can do everything together.
Thank you.
Oh, and Ginger, could you please, in the future, just for the audio recording and people, just identify yourself and your region, if you could, please.
Sorry.
Thank you. All right, any other questions on the corporate manager report? One thing you'll also notice is that would be a regular part of the board agenda as well. You know, so much is happening, and I've asked Lori that she generate a corporate manager report ahead of time to take a look at it and have questions prepared. In the future, you'll see that 2 weeks ahead of time as well, too. All righty, so do we have any correspondence?
There is no correspondence, Mr. President.
All right, thank you. Okay, we're going to move to the treasurer and the financial part. First, as you all know, I think you probably heard Matt and leading a caravan up in Alaska. So Para's going to take on this responsibility. And the process we're going to follow, just so you all know, is that Para will talk about the budget report. We'll ask him any questions, and then he will propose a motion. And that's the point at which you as board members can have any amendments, objections, everything. All right, so may we have the treasurer's report from First Vice President Bear Hamquist.
Hang on 1 second.
Okay, he's going to bring it up. It's actually part of the board portal.
Would you like me to read the budget report for the benefit of members?
Oh, yes, sorry.
Yes, thank you.
So attached is the budget, the proposed budget for the 2022-2023 fiscal year. This budget forecasts a total income of $983,908 and the total expenses of $981,058, excluding international rally accounts. This reflects a 12% increase from the budget year 2021-2022. Significant changes in income from the previous year include membership. This budget reflects a significant increase in membership. New memberships have been averaging more than 50 per week. The budget assumes 48 per week. International admin fee, $40,000 was added to this account to ensure the general membership does not pay the expenses associated with off-site support of the international rally by the club staff. The account continues to carry the $5,000 to cover the international rally refunds. This is consistent with the international rally expenses. Significant changes in expenses from the previous year include corporate reserve account. A new corporate reserve account is established to provide for needed improvements and long-term maintenance items at the corporate office. There are insufficient funds in the current budget to fund the account. However, future net income will be used to fund this account. Staffing expenses reflects the addition of a staff member and increases in salaries and benefits, partially offset by the international rally to support described previously. Member benefit program funded at $10,000. Officer expenses added funding for board effect communication suite for the IBT funded at $5,500. Partially offset by eliminating of windows, signs, nameplates, and business cards. Travel. Scroll here a little bit. Travel. Several significant changes to travel. This budget prioritizes region officer travel to local units at the expense of international officer travel. Region officers have historically, excluding the last 2 years, spent about 40% of forecasts. Better region officer travel forecast would allow funding to international officer travel, 16.4K in 2021-2022. Also increased the mileage allowance to 62.5 cents per mile, consistent with the recent IRS update. Strategy meeting travel. Travel to the planned May joint strategy session with Airstream Inc. is included, replacing the midwinter IBT travel previously. This budget reflects a surplus or net income of just over $2,000 and provides sufficient funds for recent club activities. It is submitted for your approval for the coming year. And that is signed by the 2022-2023 Budget Committee. Eric McHenry, Ty Mott, Per Hernquist, Karen Fisher, Trevor Lake, Lori Plummer, and Matt Hackney.
Thanks, Per. And for reference, this is published on airstreamclub.org/IBT. It's been up there for approximately how long, Lori? Do you know? The budget report. Roughly.
Probably a week, maybe.
Okay, so up to roughly a week, the budget report. The underlying spreadsheets are typically not uploaded. But anyway, are there any questions on the treasurer report from the board? From the region vice presidents?
Eric?
Oh, yes.
Will we also get to see the rally budget? And or review it, approve it?
We typically don't break that level of detail out. As you guys probably know, the rally is actually self-funded in the sense that there ideally is no excess revenue or there's no deficit either. So the specifics of it we can get to. It's actually in the board portal right now. That is in, you take a look at that now. So you actually do have it. All right, any other questions? All right, the treasurer's report will be filed. It's written. All right, the next order of business is that of the standing committees and special committee chairs. Okay, according to bylaws, section 3, committees, with the exception of the budget committee, no reports are required for the IBT meeting following National Rally. All members of this board have received electronic copies of written reports and action items submitted by those committee chairs when the IBT meetings. For those watching, those reports and motions are on airstreamclub.org/IBT. We can refer to them. Only committee chairs who have submitted reports or action items will be asked to present information to the board. All right, so with that, we will begin with the standing committee reports. After each report or action item is presented, a feedback will be requested from the International Board of Trustees, followed by the region vice presidents. If there have not been any questions or comments submitted from the audience, this time will end. The chair calls for the question. As directed in policy 8.6.1, the IBT votes are to be by roll call unless a request for unanimous consent is approved. The chair will put the question for unanimous consent on all motions after the discussion is complete. If there is an objection to unanimous consent, a roll call vote will be taken. And then after a motion has passed, if it is passed, headquarters will make the appropriate changes to the blue book and post. All right, Per Hernquist, chair of the Budget Standing Committee, will present the committee's report. Per, please read the committee's report.
Okay, actually done that.
So he's done that. So we're good on that. Are there any questions on the Budget Committee's report from the board? Yeah. Anyone else from the audience? Any questions on the budget report? All right, so special order 1 is the adoption of the budget.
We'll get to that later.
Interesting order. All right, Tom, by the way, we're going to be working on the order of attachments and stuff to the new agenda. I personally find it a little bit challenging to navigate through linearly, but we'll get it a little bit better next time, I think, also. It's all for readability and understanding. All right, Tom Smithson, chair of the CBL, the Constitution and Bylaws Committee. There are 3 action items presented from this committee. Tom, please read action item A entitled Policy for Amending the WBCCI Constitution.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that WBCCI Policy 18.1.1 timeline for the handling of proposed amendments to the International Constitution be deleted in its entirety and a new timeline and method for handling proposed amendments to the International Constitution be inserted.
Thank you, Tom. This motion is from a committee and does not require a second. Tom, please read your purpose, impact, background, and financial impact statement.
Thank you, Mr. President. Purpose and impact. The removal of a constitutional delegates meeting from the WBCCI Constitution requires a replacement mechanism for amending the Constitution. This motion provides the policy for amending the WBCCI Constitution by the members. The impact of the motion is to provide a timely and direct method for all WBCCI members to address proposed constitutional changes. This is accomplished by involving the membership directly, consideration of any amendments, and allowing each member to vote. Background. Constitutional amendment to the WBCCI Constitution have historically been a drawn-out process with a required delegates meeting held at the International Rally. Recent constitutional changes established this as the only way to make a change. But the technological advances made by WBCCI in the use of the internet, this proposal speed with the technological advances made by the WBCCI and the use of the internet, this proposal speeds up the process as well as involving all members in any proposed change. Financial impact. There is no direct financial impact on WBCCI. There may be a cost associated with any electronic balloting.
Thank you, Tom. Are there any questions or discussions concerning this motion from the board? All right, first Vice President Per.
I have a question regarding the proposal to consult the members only once a year. I know from our past process that the Big Bang model that we have been subjected to has created all kinds of challenges for motion makers trying to get things through. Given the effect that motions have not always been completely prepared to be processed. I understand that there's also a challenge of trying to consult members too often, but it'd be good to hear what your thought process was in proposing just once a year.
The original consideration of this motion and the change in the process, we did look at any time a motion or a proposal would come to headquarters to change the Constitution, that we would establish an immediate timeline for its being subjected or sent to the members to vote on. The more we thought about that, it seemed more reasonable to make it more efficient to have a single vote during the course of the year. Consideration of any proposal certainly can occur during the course of the year, with a vote occurring once a year. And what was written into the motion recently was that that vote would concur with the election of the executive council members. It would be much more efficient. We now have a single vote, and the cost associated with that vote would not be multiplied by multiple elections for proposed constitutional changes. That was the reason for that. Consideration does not happen just once a year. Consideration can go on during the course of the year, so that the members have ample opportunity to address any proposed change. Thank you, Mr. President.
All right, Karen, I believe you have questions.
I would like to move to amend the motion. Sorry. I would like to move to amend the motion. I move to amend motion A, policy for amending the WBCCI Constitution by inserting a new section F and a new sentence at the end of the current section F in proposed policy 18.1.1.
Thank you, Karen. Do we have a second to her motion?
I'll second.
All right, thank you. Brady seconds the motion. Please use your
Purpose, this change will allow the members of the IBT once final review of the CBL report prior to its distribution to members no background, no financial impact, and I would like to read the changes, and it's just kind of a description in the motion with our new format. So current policy 18.1.1, item E, which is provided, I'm reading for your background. If the Board of Trustees modifies the proposed amendment, it will be resubmitted to the Constitution and Bylaws Committee for review and report. The Constitution and Bylaws Committee will prepare a revised report within 10 days and submit the report to headquarters. The new section F would read, the revised Constitution and Bylaws Committee report will be distributed to the IBT within 5 days. The IBT will have 10 days to comment or reply back to all. Sub-item 1, if no comments are received, continue with the process as described in item G. And if 2, if comments are received, the matter will be returned to the IBT for review. Item G was up. We'll read, it reads now, headquarters shall forward copies of the Constitution Bylaws Committee final report to the region and local club presidents with copies of the proposed amendments no later than 90 days prior to the executive council election. Local club leadership will provide an opportunity for their members to discuss all amendments at the local level. The new sentence is a copy of the Constitution and Bylaws Committee final report and copies of the proposed amendment shall be published in the Blue Beret magazine or sent to all members in an informational email a minimum of 90 days prior to the executive council election. And if I may speak to the motion.
Yes, you may.
As I read through this again after our officer discussion, I realized that there was not an opportunity for the IBT to see the final report before it goes out to the members, had there been changes and stuff. And so I just wanted to allow for that. I also realized that there was no provision, as we have done in the past, to print those amendments and the CPL report in the Blue Beret, or I provided an alternate means of getting it out to all of our members depending on publication schedule through an informational email. And I think it's important that not only the local club presidents and the region officers receive this information, that our members, individual members, get that information as well, so they can be informed and not just have to depend on a local club president.
All right, thank you, Karen. Are there any questions or discussion from the board?
Mr. President.
From the vice presidents?
Mr. President.
Audience.
In a second, from the audience? Okay, the chair recognizes CBO Chair Tom Smithson.
I guess my question, Mr. President, is why? Because number 2 in the proposed revision says if comments are received, the matter will be returned to the IBT for review. What is the IBT going to do? I don't understand this. I mean, I write CBL reports on amendments to constitutions. I submit them to the IBT. They're submitted to the membership. And I've never been confronted with, if there's a change, we have to go back and review it, because you basically are saying you want to review the amendment. And are you going to change the amendment? Are you going to not allow the amendment to go forward to the membership? I don't quite understand what the purpose behind this is.
Thanks, Tom. Karen, as a motion maker, would you like to respond to Tom?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Item E says that if the Board of Trustees modifies the proposed amendment, which we can do, it's then resubmitted to you for a report. All I'm asking is that we see that report first before it goes to the members. If we have concerns about how it's written, then I would like us to at least have, as an IBT, have an opportunity to ask you questions.
All right, thank you. Any other comments or questions from the board, vice presidents, or the audience? All right, this motion is to amend motion A. and requires a majority vote. Are you ready for the question? Without objection, this motion will be approved. Any objections or comments? Okay,
Brad's got his hand up.
Brad?
I'm sorry, I'm confused. Did we just vote on the amendment to the
Yeah, so the
motion?
question before you now, so just to back up a second, the process we follow is that Tom presented a motion out of committee that is still standing up here. Karen presented an amendment to that, which was seconded. We had discussion. Now we're voting on whether we should add an amendment and have the amendment language replace the other one. Make sense? So if you vote yes, or without objection, then the amendment as proposed by Karen is now what we will be voting on finally. If you vote no, then we'll go back to the original document.
Call for a vote.
Okay, I think we're there then. So let's do a roll call vote now, and this is on,
Is he objecting?
sorry, just to be clear, so what I understand you want, Brad, is you're ready for a roll call vote?
For the amended,
Correct. So what we're now going to be doing a roll call vote for is on the amended language presented to you by Karen. And by the way, we'll get better at this. As I said earlier, having an amendment come the morning of, the day of, is something I would prefer to have had you more discussion time to look at. But we're here now, so you get to vote now on the amendment. Okay, we're gonna do a roll call vote.
So always identify yourself.
Region 7, Ginger Slattery. You can vote yes, no, or abstain. No?
No.
Oh, printed said abstain. No.
By the way, are you all clear what we're voting on? I just want to make sure.
We're voting on Karen's amendment.
Yes, we're voting on the proposed, Karen's proposed amendment to the CBL one. If it votes up, then the next step, if it votes yes by majority, the next step will be to vote on that in entirety. If it's voted no, then we go back to the original one and we vote on that. Okay, so we're voting on the amendment that Karen just presented, not on the total thing.
Okay.
That make sense?
Yes.
All right.
I'll vote yes.
Back
Kathy Geezy, Region 10.
Vote, I vote. Oops. I vote no.
Barb Fuller, Region 1.
No. No.
Terry Warren, Secretary, no. Stephen Parr, Region 11.
No.
Ty Mott, immediate past president.
Yes.
Matt Hackney is not here. Pear Hamquist, first vice president.
I vote no.
Region 6 President Larry Madden.
I vote no.
Billy O'Donnell, third vice president.
I vote no.
Christine Baum, Region 3 president.
I vote yes.
Artie Martin, Region 5 president.
I vote yes.
Can't hear you, Artie.
It is, you know.
Yes.
Just maybe up or down?
I think he's,
You're yes, Artie?
Yes.
Yes. Greg Badner, Region 8.
I'll vote no.
Region 12, Laverne McHenry.
I vote no.
Brad Briggs, Region 4.
I vote no.
Region 9, Nancy Fitzgerald.
I vote no. No.
Region 2, RJ Marquette.
Yes.
Karen Fisher, second vice president.
Yes.
Thank you.
Total space.
I'm doing it. We are at 6 yes, 11 no.
Okay, thank you. So now the process, what we do, we go back, it did not pass, required a majority vote, did not pass. So now we're back to the original amendment proposed by CBL Chair Smith. And this is a policy amendment. It requires a majority vote in the affirmative to pass. This motion proposes deleting policy 8. This policy is deleting policy 891.1 timeline for the handling of proposed amendments to the International Constitution and inserting a new policy. Now, any questions before we move to voting on this topic? From the board? From the audience? The vote is on motion A as read. Without objection, motion A as read. Hearing no objection, motion A is approved. Thank you, Tom Smith. All right, now we're going to move to action item B entitled name change for the executive committee. Please read your motion, title, and summary.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that all references to the executive committee in the WBCCI bylaws be changed to executive council. This is a housekeeping motion to address changes in the WBCCI constitution. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. This motion is from a committee and does not require a second. Please read your purpose, impact, background, and financial impact statement.
Purpose and impact. This motion clarifies the name of the new executive council in the WBCCI bylaws. The impact is to make the bylaws consistent with the WBCCI constitution. Background. Prior to the restructuring of the International Board of Trustees, the executive committee of the board was comprised of the elected international officers. The restructuring has eliminated the number of international officers and expanded the executive committee into the executive council. Financial impact. There is no financial impact to WBCCI. And just if I could point out, there are currently 33 references to executive committee in the bylaws that need to be changed.
You're going to waive reading of that text and change it, I would imagine.
It's only 17 pages.
All right, are there any questions or discussion from the board? From the region vice presidents? From the audience? This is a bylaws amendment and requires 2/3 vote in the affirmative to pass. This motion proposes deleting all references to the executive committee, the WBCCI bylaws, and inserting the words executive council. Are you ready for the question? All right, the vote is on motion B as read. Without objection, motion B as read will be approved. All right, hearing no objection, motion B is approved. Thank you, Tom. All right, Tom. All right, 2 out of 3. Here we go. All right, please read action item C entitled bylaws amendment to IBT restructure.
Thank you, Mr. President. Action item C. I move that WBCCI bylaws Article 8 Board of Trustees be deleted in its entirety and a new WBCCI Article 8 Board of Trustees and Executive Council be inserted.
Thank you, Tom. This motion is from committee and does not require a second. Please read your purpose, impact, background, and financial impact statement.
Thank you, Mr. President. Purpose and impact. Board is facing significant opportunities and membership growth, finance partnerships, and technology. A structured improvement at leadership level enhances the club's ability to quickly recognize and respond to these trends. Clearly defined areas of responsibility, a larger leadership team with a diverse skill set, and embedded strategic planning and goals involving leadership in all regions will strengthen and elevate the club's position among potential members and like organizations. Background. A special committee was formed as a result of discussions at the International Board of Trustees meeting in Lebanon, Tennessee. The special committee reviewed our current leadership structure, reviewed best practices in government, nonprofit, and corporate governing boards, then reported to the executive committee with recommendations for improvement. This motion implements the bylaws recommendations put forward by the special committee and presented to the IBT in December of 2021. It also includes the recommendations of a transition committee that was charged with preparing the transition details of moving to this new governance structure. Financial impact, there is no significant financial impact. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thanks, Tom. So are there any questions or discussions concerning this motion? First from the board. Bishop.
Karen Fisher, second vice president. Based on the discussion at the officer meeting last Thursday, I had talked to Tom about defining the term for a member that was under special or elected under special conditions. And he asked me to write that proposal. So I move to amend motion C, bylaw amendments to IBT restructure as follows. Section 3, election of executive council members. Item 1, insert the new sub-item C.
I know it sounded like it was a question, but, or
So that sounds great. And just make sure everyone knows, can you just state again in plain language again one more time, the rationale behind that? I know you did, but just to reiterate.
It's actually part of the purpose and impact.
Okay, on to that then.
If you get a second, then we'll talk some more.
All right then. All righty, so we have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second? This is a motion to amend the CBL. Do we have a second? All right, seconded by Brad Briggs. Okay, great. Karen, could you please read the purpose and impact?
The purpose of these changes are to include a definition of a full term for any member elected to the executive council between normal election cycles. As I mentioned, these changes were discussed at the offer discussion meeting on July 28th. There is no financial impact. And if I could, I would like to read that new item C. I'll start with item 1, says vacancies which occur during the term of executive council members may be filled by a candidate recommended by nominations committee to the IBT for consideration and with a 2/3 vote of the board of trustees will serve until the next election cycle. B, a special election by club members from nominees proposed by the nomination standing committee to fill the remaining term. The new item C would read, members elected in either manner described above will be considered to have served a full term if they have served a minimum of 12 months on the executive council.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Karen. Are there any questions or discussion from the board? This is on the amendment to the amendment. Any questions or discussion from the board, please? Chair recognizes Brad Briggs.
Is this consistent with the way region officers are considered as far as term goes?
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brad. Any other questions or discussion from the board? All righty, from the vice president, from the audience.
Mr. President.
Chair recognizes CBL Chair Tom Smithson.
Yes, I did ask the second vice president address this issue. As all of you are aware, this document is rather extensive. And even though it has been reviewed by the IBT on at least 2 different separate occasions, it was handed to them as draft form in Sarasota at the Midwinter IBT, and then we had a special IBT forum to discuss this. Any document which we produce, we try to make it perfect. And we try to cover all the possible issues that can come up. Sometimes we're very successful. Other times, tweaking, and this was a tweak that should be in there. It will definitely clarify the issue of someone stepping in to fill a vacancy. So thank you very much, Karen, for proposing this.
Thank you, Tom. All right, this motion is to amend motion C and requires a majority vote. Are you ready for the question? All right, without objection, this motion will be approved. Awesome.
Thank you, Karen. Thanks, Tom.
This motion is approved. All right, so now we're back to the original motion as amended. So Tom, this is a bylaws amendment. It requires a 2/3 vote affirmative to pass. This motion proposes deleting bylaws Article 8, Board of Trustees, and inserting a new Article 8, Board of Trustees.
Are you ready for the question?
Vote is on motion C as amended. Without objection, motion C as amended will be approved. Hearing no objection, motion C as amended is approved. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Karen, as well. You may be seated.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Now, just checking on.
Thanks, I wasn't sure.
Their next action item is for Kate Coast, Chair of the National Rally Standing Committee. There's one action item to be presented from this committee. Kate, please approach the dais, the microphone, the lectern, I guess it is. Read action item D entitled National Rally's Name and Scope Change. We can help you with that. In the corner.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Go ahead.
Hello. Thank you, Mr. President. Before I get started, I have a PowerPoint presentation today as background to my motion. But before I do that, I did want to recognize Kathy Mitchell, who has been the chairperson of the National Events and Rallies program for the past 4 years. And I'm happy to step in her big shoes. So thank you, Kathy.
We all heard of Kathy being not approved and the Mardi Gras National Rally again. It was it was last week. Was it just last week? So kudos. People are pumped about that, and myself included. So thank you. Alrighty, Kate, this motion is from committee and does not require a second, please.
The PowerPoint change.
So PowerPoint first?
Yes, sir.
Here you go.
Okay, thank you. My tech people are going to help me out. Today's motion is really to clarify the language, expand the scope of the National Rallies and Events Program, and to propose a change in the name of the National Rallies and Event Program. Before I get started, I just wanted to let everyone know a little bit about myself. I retired from the National Park Service, where I worked for 36 years. I ended my career as a National Park Superintendent and also worked for the Washington, D.C. headquarters office of the Park Service, heading up their leadership development program. My wife of 14 years and partner of 33 years is also retired National Park Service, and she was in law enforcement. She was a chief ranger and then also ended her career as a law enforcement training officer at the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center in Georgia. Everybody has their Airstream dream, and ours was kind of a running joke. We had a pop-up for 14 years, and we kept teasing each other, we're never going to get an Airstream. And finally we retired, and I tell the story, went to the Tampa RV show and walked in, and the very first rigs in there were Airstream, and this light shone down on them and the trumpet started playing. I just said, where do we sign? And anyway, we love our Airstream. We've been members of the Florida unit, also Southeastern Camping Unit, where I served as secretary, coordinated the can opener event, and today we are members of the Arkansas Razorback unit. So today I'd like to share some background information on the club's rally and events program. So where do we stand today? There are 600 club and region-sponsored rallies, 23 national caravans. Yet there are only 10 national rallies and events. In recent years, there have been as many as 25 to 30 that were held each year. With your help, it is my intention to refocus our attention on this aspect of our club. So what do we know about campers today? You heard Justin talk about them the other day. They're younger, they have families, they have remote work needs. They're extended seasons, camping year-round now. Sports-related travel is very important to them, and sporting-related travel like birding or kayaking or fly fishing. Yet, a recent survey that Airstream conducted said 65% of new Airstream owners were unsure or did not know if they wanted to participate in Airstream activities. That's, I think, a large part of this club. And there are literally dozens of RV clubs to choose from. As you know, there's brand specific like ours, there's special interest groups, escapees, family motor coach. So we have so many opportunities to increase our national events, whether it's a new event, relaunch of old ones, create ones with clubs that are sponsored for birding and some of these other things. So I guess my question and why I'm proposing this motion is, what is it going to take for us to turn up the volume on this particular club program and to put Airstream Club International on par with the special events that other clubs have? So I have three goals in mind. Increase benefits and values of club to both existing members and new members. Improve the status of the program, recognition such as those of the National Caravan Program, and again, having it on par with what other RV clubs offer. And I think lastly, the goal is to grow our partnership opportunities. But the main point I want to leave you with is that underlying all of these goals is about setting a standard of service that meets the expectations of our current and our potential members. So how do we do that? We have strategies that will fully support the clubs and regions. We're doing tools, developing a guidebook, training for rally leaders. We're going to improve communications, stand up 5 new events, improve our digital interface on the web and the Blue Beret, improve our service to our existing and future national events. And I think lastly, we would like to initiate a series of newbie rallies across the country where we bring together Airstream Inc. with local clubs, teach people on their onboarding of how to operate their Airstreams, which all of us learned by trial and error, and still are learning, right? But then also it's an opportunity for them to meet up with local club members, learn about the club, join the club, and stay members. I recognize this is an ambitious schedule, and that's why I will need your help. And we have put together a great team of people, and I just want to call them out: Janet Schober, Jacqueline White, Mark McGee, and Wayne Clark. And this team of people bring together professional experience in event planning, journalism, communications, partnerships, web, and social media. So that's the end of my presentation. So I think, Mr. President, with that, I will read the motion.
Yes, ma'am.
Summary.
The title is National Rallies, Name and Scope Change. The summary is a motion to amend the Blue Book bylaws and policies to reflect a name change to national events and a scope change to provide greater opportunities for national events.
Thanks, Kate. This is a motion from committee. It does not require a second. Please read your purpose, impact, background, and financial impact statement.
Sorry, could you repeat that?
Please read the purpose and impact and background. Financial.
Never read the motion first.
Motion.
Sorry, I thought you read the motion. I apologize. Read the motion.
I move that WBCCI bylaws, Article 3, committees, Section 1, Item O, national rallies, and inserting a new item O, national events. Further, WBCCI policy 3.11, standing committees, general duties, item O, national rallies be deleted and a new item O be inserted. Also, WBCCI policy 16.6.4, rallies, item D be deleted and a new item D be inserted.
Okay, now I think we're ready to say that this is from committee, does not require a second. Please read your financial purpose, impact, background, and financial impact statement.
I didn't write a purpose and impact statement, I'm sorry. The background, I think that the PowerPoint really illustrated kind of the purpose and impact. As background, National Rallies is a WBCCI program that has seen sponsorship decline over the past 10 years. The name change to National Events is intended to distinguish this program from club and region rallies. The scope of national events will be broadened to increase membership benefits, put these activities on par with other RV membership clubs, and to address current trends in camping and membership, such as younger owners, camping families, remote work friendly, extending camping seasons, and sports travel.
Thanks, Kate. All right, are there any questions or discussion concerning this motion? First from the board. Hi.
We're a club that rallies together. We're changing the name of this to just events. I'm a founding father of 2 national events that are very successful. Why are we deleting the thing that we're using for advertisement from the name of the event?
Well, but from my years of traveling, I think there's a lot of confusion around national rallies. A lot of people don't know that they exist or what they are. We use the term rally a lot. It's international rally, a region rally, a club rally, Rally 2023. And I just felt like it's really sets it apart, distinguishes. Some of the, as you know, some of the previous ones have been called national events, and then some of them have been called national rallies. So I think just consolidating the name to national events so that they have identification as a kind of a status will help have people join in and put on new ones.
Thank you. Any other questions from the board? Yes. Brad. I'm sorry, Region 4, Brad Briggs.
Region 4, President Brad Briggs. Ty, did you want to make a motion about this?
I thought you were going to bring it up, but yeah.
So Ty and I have talked this over, and we have 2 different motions, changes to this, and I'd like each considered separately if we could. So I move that we add the word rallies. So the committee reads I'm sorry. National rallies and events.
Okay, just restate it one more time because there's a little.
I understand. I would like to add the word rally to the name that's being proposed. So it says national rallies and events.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Ty Mott. All right, we have discussion from the board. And we'll do the same thing we've done the last 2 times. We'll consider the amendment and we'll see where we go with that. We'll consider subsequent amendments and see where we go with that. All right, any discussion from the board on the amended? Chair recognizes, okay, moving on.
While I can appreciate Ty and Brad's points, they're well made. However, I believe the word rallies is not working, which is evidenced by the decline in participation in the national events or rallies, or whatever you want to call them. Me personally, it wasn't until Kate came along and really explained to me the difference. I think it's important to change the name now in order to try to increase participation.
Thank you, Millie. I recognize Region 12 of Vernon McHenry.
Hey, question.
Then what is an event? If we're going to say national rallies and events, what distinguishes the difference?
Okay, would you like to respond to that?
Again, I think that having national rallies are when we get together, events are celebrations of places and things. And it's also not just us meeting together to camp together, but it's really around the celebration of the activity that we're there for. So I think, again, that shift over to national events gives us a broader opportunity for sponsorship and other things besides just the camping part of our program.
Thank you. Other questions from the board or comments from the board? All right. Christine, region, tell you our region.
Christine Bound, Region 3. I do like the name change, but would suggest that we call it National Event Rallies. The reason I say that is I do run, my husband and I are the rally sponsors for GALAX. GALAX is a national, well, it is an event that happens every year. I like the idea of designating it as an event. The reason I like the name rally inserted is because I worry with brand new members coming in, they may just look at that and not necessarily recognize that it is a rally they could attend. So I was wondering if a combination of national event rally might solve the problem for all.
Thanks, Christine. Let's get the remainder of the comment and we can consider a friendly amendment or wherever possible to take. All right, Eric.
Quist, First VP International. As some of you may know, I run a rally in New York City, actually it's in New Jersey. And when I applied for a national status for that one, I was struggling a bit with the definition of how we define events in the past, because New York City, this is not really an event. You come there together and you'll find your own event when you go there. So it felt more appropriate to call it a rally, because that was really, we all get together and we find our own things. That was just a comment. I'm supportive of the idea of renaming it to elevate its focus as a comment. Thank you.
I do.
All right, the chair recognizes Terry Warren, the National Party Secretary.
Thank you. Kate, I was wondering if you considered the term national event rally.
I have not really. We were bouncing around all the ideas of doing, what the name calls, but I hadn't really put those words in that order before.
I like Christine. I think that might not be a bad name. I like that better than national event and rallies. Thank you.
And we'll bring this together, don't worry. Okay, any other questions or comments from the board? All right, Todd?
Have you attended a national event yet or special rally?
Yes, can opener for 5 years and coordinated it for 2.
Okay. We have the Pet and Paw Rally, which is a smaller event. Okay. And that's more camping with our pets. That's not a real big event in the sense that it's not something honoring something in the area. It's about our pets. And I think that by changing the name without that in there, it's going to make it not as welcoming as a small rally. I mean, we have 28 to 30 trailers there is all we ever have there. Okay. And our Columbus Day weekend rally is a weekend around Columbus Day, but it's not an event. It's cooking and enjoying camaraderie and everything. So I think that we're going to be eliminating part of what some of these national event rallies are if we change the name and don't realize that, because it just wouldn't coincide with some of the way things are done on those events.
Thanks, Ty. Lori Plummer, manager.
Lori Plummer, corporate manager. I just wanted to, as I'm listening to the discussion, I Googled the definition of rally. As a noun, it's making a political protest or showing support of a cause, which is not what we do at our rallies. It's different, as well as motor vehicles, NASCAR or whatever. So I believe we do need to embellish the name and change the name away from rallies.
All right, Brad?
So does that mean we should not use the term rally together because now we're political?
We absolutely do not want to be political.
That's correct, but we're not allowed to use we rally together anymore?
I did not say that. I just read the definition.
Okay, so back to me on this one. So I think what I've heard from this board, I recognize the amendment, is that there seems to be some energy in incorporating both terms, perhaps on the title, perhaps on specific events. Kate, or anyone else, do you have I could call this the start of a friendly amendment, a proposal that might address what you heard from the board?
Yes, that would be acceptable.
Well, please state what you think would be acceptable.
Do I have to do the motion thing?
No, just your own words.
I think the idea of, I wanted to respond to Ty's comment too. From what I see now of the 10 rallies and events that exist, and to pairs, I think as well, it does run the gamut. There's everything from 20 trailers, at the Rose Parade, when it's really, about the parade, it's camping together, as to the Paws and the Pets or large, 200 plus trailers at Can Opener. So it does incorporate a lot of events and rally aspects of rallying together. But I believe that your proposal, Christine, to have national event rallies would be a very acceptable name change.
Okay, so I'm going to ask Joanna in a second, but what I hear you proposing to the board is amending your motion verbally such that it would read, the name of it is what?
National event rallies.
Okay, does everyone understand what Kate is proposing it now? National event rallies.
Okay, but hang on.
Okay, so hang on, and then we'll work on the policy part second. Hang tight.
Brad,
Yeah, I know he's got one.
he's got it. So he's the one that
Yeah, I
needs,
know.
now that she's got it.
I'll ask him.
Okay. Right on there.
All right, so we're on, okay, so Brad, you've heard the proposed change. Would that be acceptable to you as a proposer of the amendment?
Yes, that'd be acceptable to me.
Okay, great. So that's that. Now I believe you had a second one also. Can you tell us what that is?
One on the floor. We need to vote on his amendment.
But his amendment, he withdrew it.
He didn't withdraw it.
Okay, Brad, do you withdraw your amendment given what she has said? Again, it's a little complicated, but what I understand from Kate is that she's proposing to call it National
Event rally.
Rally. And Brad,
Rallies.
rallies. Okay, Brad, where are you on that? Could you
So,
propose the amendment?
May I ask Joanne a question?
Yeah.
So is my motion being friendly amended, or is the motion being friendly amended?
It should be your amendment that's being friendly
And then we should,
amended.
vote on that, right?
So
Yes.
we need to vote on his.
I accept the friendly amendment.
Okay, great. So now I think we can vote on the amended language, all right?
Can he repeat it? May he repeat
Please
it?
repeat it, okay. We're gonna get there. We're close.
I'm grateful Christine wrote it down right next to me. I changed my motion so that it reads National Events Rallies.
Thank you.
National Event Rallies.
Okay.
What
All
about
right.
the second? Does that have to?
No.
One at a time. All right, we'll do the first one first. So this is to amend motion, whatever motion you had, motion D. Requires a majority vote. Are you ready for the question? All right. Without objection, this motion will be approved.
Amendment.
The amendment will be approved. All right, so the friendly motion has been amended. We will, does that mean we're done?
No.
You
The
got that.
amendment. You got
That's
that.
how the motion do. Yes, yes.
But he's got another.
Okay, so where we are right now is that we've changed the name for Brad. Thank you, Brad, very much. Okay, now we're ready for your second amendment motion. All right, on to you.
Before I make my motion, may I ask a question?
Yes.
Kate,
Yes.
in your motion, you say, specify who can be sponsors of a national event rallies.
Yes.
And it includes headquarters for the first time, I believe, in the history of our club. Can you give us the rationale of why the headquarters needs to be a sponsor of the national event rallies?
The language is written is that, let me just read it back to you, national event rallies are planned, sponsored, and conducted by one or more local clubs, regions, or headquarters is where that word was inserted. My thinking behind that was an attempt to be forward-looking in this motion, that there may be some future opportunity, a sponsorship opportunity that we would need to engage with headquarters over. It doesn't mean that they would necessarily put on rallies themselves, but that we would look to the future, that maybe there are opportunities to have them help us to put on a national event rally where a club or a region doesn't step in.
He's a business guy.
Lunch is at noon.
All right. Lori, answer me.
Am I allowed to comment?
Sure, you may comment.
Lori Plummer, corporate manager. Maybe just clarify, you may want to put it in as international because headquarters does support. We just did the heritage opening. We also have supported the midwinter, and we simply are a support to the host, such as spinning up payment forms, collecting the payments, and then the money. We've done that for 3 or 4 years already. So maybe to please everybody, you could just put international, because same thing, and we would do that.
Okay, so I believe what I hear is a tendering of a friendly amendment to Kate to change the language from headquarters to something else. Lori, can you state what you're proposing?
I was just stating that if somebody would like to adjust that to change headquarters to international. I don't know if that would help clarify the definition. I mean, we currently do this. We've done it for several years, that we're, again, a support staff to whoever's running midwinter, heritage opening, things of that nature. So I don't know if that helped clarify. That is.
Okay, so we don't have an amendment yet. Brad hasn't tendered yet, but I hear for you, Kate, if that's a recommendation as a friendly amendment. And your thoughts on that?
Just so that I'm clear, it would read, national event rallies are planned, sponsored, and conducted by one or more local clubs, regions, or international. And held, okay. That's acceptable.
I know now at this time we need to have a vote on that, or can we dispense with that?
We can dispense with that.
Okay,
This
awesome.
is,
All
it
right,
was a
so-
friendly one.
All right, so back to you, Brad. We've changed that to international. Now, do you have an amendment that you want to propose or more discussion on it now that it's been changed international?
So I just like clarification. What's the difference between international and headquarters?
All right, go ahead.
It's pretty much the same. I mean, we're directed by the EC or the board to provide support. So we've been doing it for years. So I mean, maybe it's more consistent. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the point is of why headquarters needs to be removed. So I'm just thinking, well, it's international. We're directed by international. So that's how we operate.
Okay, so I can make a motion and I can justify why my motion's there. All right.
Yes, you're able to make a motion.
Okay, so as I understand it, Kate has accepted the friendly motion and it now reads international headquarters.
That is correct.
Okay, so I move that the word international be removed from the motion and just reads up and before region, it says or.
Understood. Is there a second for that?
Second.
All right, we have a second. All right, is there any discussion? First from the board, this is on the amended language, which is removing the word international /HQ.
May I give a rationale for that? Of course. So clarify, we passed a report from the treasurer that Per had read. basically, we just approved the budget that was proposed, right? Is that?
We have not moved to budget adoption yet.
Okay.
That's one of the last things.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification. But I would like to state that since fiscal year 20 to what's proposed in this new budget is that we've had an increase in salaries of $127,369. I realize that part of that is being funded by other things, not all club dues, but we are allowing headquarters to expand very quickly. And I believe that we should remove this wording until an exact reason and a proposal is brought before this body. And because it's a bylaw and policy change, that can be done very quickly, as we all know. The IBT is meeting quarterly, and that proposal can be brought before the IBT within 3 months. And if it's something that the IBT approves of, then we can reinsert that in there and allow whatever special event headquarters or international wants to do.
Thanks, Brad. So here's where we're in the process. We have an amendment that has been moved and seconded. We're in the discussion process on the amendment, and I'll be calling for a vote or unanimous consent shortly. And then depending on where that goes, we'll go back to the original motion. Understood? All right. Any further comments on the proposed amendment? I think Millie, your hand up first.
Thank you, Mr. President. Millie O'Donnell. They, council member, just had to check. I understand where you're coming from, Brad. I understand you have a lot of concern about the budget and the growth of headquarters. I feel strongly that removing them from this may possibly eliminate the ability for them to participate. And we also want to focus on the fact that as we talk about Airstream helping us grow and the club growing, naturally headquarters is required to grow with that. The budget will change. It will go in flux with what we do. And I'm afraid that trying to remove them from these things removes some of their strength and their ability to help us conduct these items. So I wouldn't remove them from it at all, no matter how you refer to them, whether it's headquarters or international. I think it's important that they stay front and center. They work for us indeed, and we can help make sure they stay budget under control, because the budget has to come to us, but we need them. They are our #1 support in staying a strong, active club.
Okay, in order of discussion, I recognize Per and then Larry, and I think Karen had a comment. Okay, Per first.
Per Hamsquist, first VP International. One of the interesting side effects of taking business out of the international rally is that effectively it's becoming a very large national event rally. And there's been talk at one point, where's the boundary line between international, which really isn't international, we always keep it in the United States, and a very large national event. So, the boundary lines are getting blurred a little bit. And the second thing, in that context, it seems very reasonable that HQ is part of that equation. And as members of the IBT, we have control over the budget, so we can throttle the engagement we think is appropriate by controlling the budget. That was my comment.
Thanks, Per. Larry?
I guess I'm just reiterating what's been previously stated, that
without headquarters, we cease to exist.
I think headquarters does an outstanding job. They've been very helpful with all rallies, all people getting together. I think it's absolutely essential.
That's actually in Kate's motion that headquarters is involved. Thanks, Larry. Karen?
And I support headquarters providing support for all of our national event rallies, which is what Lori said she was doing. But I want to point out that this section says that national event rallies are planned, sponsored, and conducted by, and the list includes international headquarters. I love that they support, I agree that they should support all of our national event rallies, but I guess I agree that they should not plan, sponsor, or conduct them, at least as national event rallies.
Thanks, Karen. I didn't look to my left carefully. Any other comments for the board before we go to a vote on the proposed amendment?
I think audience comments.
Any comments, additional comments from the board?
Vice President.
Give me all time. All right, Greg.
Greg Bednar, Region 8 President. As I think about this, which in and of itself is amazing, it does seem to me that if the word is changed to international, which is sort of how we refer to the club, that then we're covered, and I don't really have any problem with the word international. The executive committee or the IBT is going to have to be involved and approve it. If they're at that point comfortable with headquarters activity in it, it'll be quite proper. I've always felt like my dues have gotten a good buy with headquarters, and it's money well spent. So I would support changing the word to international and leaving them in. Thank you.
Hang on a second, Lori. Okay, any other questions? All right, Christine.
I was wondering if it could read like this: national events are planned, sponsored, and conducted by one or more local clubs or regions, comma, supported by headquarters as needed and held in conjunction with.
I believe that's not consistent with the friendly motion. So I think we're going to vote on this one, Lori, and then we'll see where we are. Lori, did you have any additional comments?
I just wanted to make one more comment. And again, our goal, headquarters, is not to have the rally, it's to support. If it, for example, Heritage Center, Ty and I that put that together. That's it.
All right, thank you. Any other questions from the vice presidents before we go to audience questions? All right, questions from the audience? Okay, all right, go ahead.
Quick enough. Fred Keel, First Vice President, Region.
Can you grab a
microphone, please? Sorry.
Fred Keel, First Vice President, Region 4. And I just wanted to support the comment that was made that the way this is written, we're giving headquarters the authority to sponsor a rally. And I think we need to avoid that.
Okay, thank you. Other comments from the vice president? All right, we'll go to public comments. Tom Smithson, are you up for a public comment now?
Yes. Tom Smithson, Northern California Airstream Club. I think it's absolutely critical that the international or headquarters be included in this particular proposal. And I think that we have seen well thought out comments by the members of the board as to why headquarters should be involved. Now, would headquarters, let me give you a hypothetical. What if the Airstream Club, that the Airstream company came to WBCCI and said, we would like to sponsor a massive rally. What local club, what region is going to be responsible for it? They're not. Who's going to be responsible for that interaction? It's going to be headquarters. And so I think that they really do need to be included. The Region 3 president made a very good proposal, which addresses, I think, Brad's concern, Region 4's president's concern, that headquarters is taking over the world. I don't think that that's the case. Headquarters is an integral part, as has been stated by others, an integral part of this club. They support the activities of all of the club's activities. And that's a role that they should play. Now, I think probably putting the word support into the motion would address Brad's concern. And it would also address some of the other concerns and does not take headquarters out of the mix. They are integral to this. So that's my comment.
Thanks, Tom. Next, please give your name and your local club, please.
Yes, good afternoon. Rich Sepo, member at large Region 1, also co-founder of Pets and Paws. And first, I want to thank Kathy for her 5 years plus of hard work on her committee, being chair of that. And I welcome Kate to the new position. What she has proposed to us is extremely open and friendly to the mission of having special event rallies. I would encourage that we do change the name as proposed from the board to National Event Rallies. Now, as far as coming to the point of corporate being a part of proposal where it states, I have to agree that, having run so many rallies, that it's a given and it's expected from corporate headquarters to be supporting all special events and international rallies. That's a given. We all understand that. The way that it's worded right now in the front proposal, it looks as if, or it's implied that they in turn could also run their own special event. So I think by removing headquarters / international from the amendment would be the proper way to go forward, because as we all know, they are there to support us. That's where our money goes for. But they, as an entity, as it appears right now in the verbiage, could run their own special event rally, which is obviously not something that they could do. Thank you.
Thank you. Do I have another comment from the audience? Please state your name and your affiliation.
My name is Jay Thompson, and I'm with the Big Bend, Florida local club. I also am very involved in the caravan operation, and Kate and I've talked, and her vision is that her committee ends up being operated in somewhat the same manner that we do the national caravans. And where we are with the national caravans, we help support financially the help that we get from headquarters. And for instance, 90% of people that go on caravans pay for their caravan fee via a credit card through the national headquarters. Simplifies the life. I would expect that special event rallies are going to be funded the same way. That's the best way to do it. That's the simplest way to do it. The other thing to do is headquarters coordinates the caravan leader checking accounts, which all run through, they're separate accounts, but they all run through the club. I would envision that same thing would be very simple for special event rallies. My point is that the headquarters is very essential to the operation of the caravan operation. And I would envision that same thing's going to happen with special event rallies. Thank you.
Thanks, Jay. Do we have another comment from the audience?
Take this one. Mystic Seaport. I was at headquarters. Lori got a call about a potential urban rally at Mystic Seaports. And together we identified a local club within a nearby region that could help support and execute that. And they've done it a few years now, and they've done a fantastic job. Headquarters is instrumental, and headquarters is going to field a lot of inquiries like that and more as we become more vibrant, more outbound in what we're trying to do. So I think the inclusivity is important. And I don't think headquarters is trying to take over rallies, but I think they are recipients of several inquiries and can help where appropriate facilitate with local club, local regions. So I would suggest leaving them.
That's all.
Thanks, Mona. Okay, we are at our blue sign. I think I'm going to move to see where the board sits on this one. Again, just to be clear, the amendment is to preclude preclude headquarters or international from being able to remove the word. All right, motion is to amend motion D, requires a majority vote. Are you ready for the question? All right, without objection, the motion presented by Region 4 to amend Kate's motion will be approved.
Jack.
Jack. I have an objection. We'll do a roll call. And just to be clear, make sure people understand what you're voting on. This is not on the original motion from Kate. This is on the. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Brad, just reread it again, just for clarity. Thank you.
I move that the word headquarters be struck from the motion.
Nice. Thank you. All right.
Thank you. Region 2 President R.J. Marquette.
No.
Second Vice President Karen Fisher.
Yes.
International Secretary Terry Warren. No. Region 12 Laverne McHenry.
No.
Larry Madden, Region 6 President.
No.
Region 11 President Stephen Parr.
No.
Region 10 President Kathy Giese.
No.
Third Vice President Millie O'Donnell.
No.
Region 7 President Ginger Slattery. No. Region 8 President Greg Badner.
No.
First Vice President Per Hamquist.
No.
Region 1 President Bard Fuller.
Yes.
Region 5 President Artie Martin.
No.
Can't hear you. Nod or shake. No. Region 4 President Brad Briggs.
Yes.
Region 3 President Christine Baum.
No.
Region 9 President Nancy Fitzgerald.
No.
Immediate past President Ty Mott.
Yes.
We have 4 yeses. 14 noes.
4 yes, 14 noes. Okay, so the amendment is not passed. Now we're back to the original motion as amended. Kate, can you just for clarity reread the motion as amended, please, before we vote on that? Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Or just read.
I think what I need to read is, sorry.
Just for clarity, can you please reiterate the title?
Okay.
Because we're voting on the whole thing now, the whole enchilada, if you will.
The title is.
Also the wording of HQ International. Thank you.
The title is National Rallies Name and Scope Change. I need to read the motion again.
Does anyone need any more clarification on the motion before we vote?
Yes, we do.
Okay, we do. All right. Hang on a second. Let me.
Kate,
Yes, ma'am.
please read the new name of the committee.
Motion.
Okay. I move that WBCCI bylaws, Article 3 Committees, Section 1, Item O, National Rallies, and inserting a new Item O, National Rallies. Further, WBCCI Policy 3.11, Standing Committees, General Duties, Item O, National Rallies be deleted and a new Item O be inserted. Also, WBCCI Policy 16.4, Rallies, Item D be deleted and a new Item D be inserted.
And would you please read the first sentence of the new WBCCI policy, section 16.6.4?
National event rallies. national event
rallies are planned, sponsored,
and conducted by one or more local clubs, regions, or headquarters,
and held in
conjunction with or in the vicinity
of a well-known annual or periodic festival, event, celebration, or places of historic significance or natural beauty.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought you had taken out headquarters and replaced it with international by a friendly amendment.
Did I?
You have to say yes or no.
Yes.
This is a bylaws amendment and requires a 2/3 vote in the affirmative to pass. This motion proposes deleting bylaws, blah, blah, blah. Oh my gosh. All right, this motion proposes deleting bylaws Article 3, Committee Section 1, Item O, National Rallies, and inserting a new Item O, deleting Policy 301, Standing Committees for Duties, Item O, National Rallies, inserting a new Item O, and deleting Policy 16.6.4, Rallies, Item D, inserting a new Item D. Question.
As amended.
As amended. Are you ready for the question? All right, the vote is on motion D as amended. Without objection, motion D as amended will be approved. This is your time to say you object or not. All right, we're hearing no motion, no objection. Motion D as amended is approved. Thank you, Kate. A little bit of a break. I need to stretch my leg just a tad. I would ask, take a brief break. Let's come back. Well, it is lunch, so what's the will of the board? Keep working. We have one more item plus a bunch of discussion.
You better check with Deb Wood.
Oh, Deb Wood is looking at me? Okay, so Deb, what time do you propose us being done with lunch? I'm gonna go for half hour. Does that work for you guys?
No. Oh, we gotta. 45
Okay,
minutes to
45
an
minutes
hour.
or an hour?
Hour.
All right, an hour it is. All right, we'll take a break. We'll be back here at 1:30 Eastern, 1:30 Eastern. It's actually an hour and 4 minutes. All right, thank you. Blah.
Blah, blah, blah.
Look at your face. Perhaps chairman of the budget committee will present the proposed budget. And just to make sure you guys understand the process we're going to go through. So what we do is that Per will be introducing the budget committee report. The board will have an opportunity to comment on the budget committee report. And then after that discussion, Per will read a motion, special order 1. And the special order 1 is where you get to vote on either saying yes to the motion, no to the motion, or considering alternatives. Make sense? So the first discussion is just on the budget report. Karen, do you have a question?
Yeah, you skipped an item on the agenda, but you can go back to.
Which one? Which one?
Special
Oh,
committee report.
gotcha. Right.
Yep.
I apologize. We're going to back up one. So Karen has done a phenomenal job leading the foundation, and I apologize. We're going to go back to the foundation. So Karen Fisher, president of WBCCI Foundation, defer to report to this meeting. Karen, would you please present your report?
Yes, thank you, Eric. The WBCCI Foundation report to the IBT, July 30th, 2022. Mission, vision, mantra. In the spring of 2022, the foundation approved a new mission and mantra to help us and our donors understand our focus. Our mission, the WBCCI Foundation seeks to preserve and promote an outdoors-oriented lifestyle. Vision, to support and protect the natural environment enjoyed by Airstream owners through partnership with other nonprofit organizations. Mantra, Airstream Owners Giving Back. In addition, a new logo for the foundation was approved. Fundraising campaign. We started a campaign earlier this year titled 22 and 22 with the goal of having each member of the club donate $22 to the foundation. A logo was developed for the campaign and donors will receive a decal and ribbon to acknowledge their donation. Common Sense for Kids. As approved by the IBT in May 2022, the Common Sense for Kids fund balance was transferred from the club to the foundation. The foundation approved a new logo for Common Sense for Kids and worked to identify recipients in the Freiburg area. Website. The foundation launched a new website with information about our goals, our global impact partners, and ability to donate. Check us out at wbccifoundation.org. Here's the important part.
Because it was late.
Donations given at the 65th International Rally in Freiburg. Harvest Hills Animal Shelter, $1,500. Saco River Recreation Council, $1,500. Teens to Trails, $1,500. Common Sense for Kids, Nuns Friends Cancer Foundation, $3,500. Laura Foundation for Autism and Epilepsy, $3,500. Starting Point Domestic Violence Center, $3,500. Total charitable contributions distributed in Freiburg, $15,000. My thanks to all of you, and also to the members of the foundation for all of their work. Dendy Jarrett, Tom Slow, Greg Hoyer, Donna Rain Steele, Steve Rowley, Jane Bartlett, Kim Harmon, Bob Grimes, Jane Muir, Jerry Settle, Johnny Hanson, and to ex officio members Lori Plummer and Ty Mott. Couldn't have done it without all their help. Sincerely, Karen Fisher, President of the Foundation.
Thanks, Karen. We're going to have a discussion, but also would you be willing to email it out to the board? I think it's a phenomenal report. And
yes, I have a financial report through the end of June that I didn't want to read, but I will send both to Lori to include with the IBT details.
I think I could probably include in the minutes as well, or something like that. So thank you. Thank you. All right. Any questions from the board to Karen on the foundation? All right. From the vice president's audience. Yeah, just phenomenal job. Be sure to check out the website. It's really cool. Yeah, awesome job. All righty, so now we're going back to the budget. So next order of business is special orders. There's one special order to come before the IBT. The special order is the adoption of the budget for 2022 to 2023. Herr Hamquist, chairman of the budget committee, will present the proposed budget. Are there any questions on the budget committee report from the board? For the region vice presidents. Okay, from the audience. All right. Okay, Herr, would you please read special order number 1?
Yes, Mr. President. I move that the WBCCI International Board of Trustees, as defined by the WCCI Constitution, Article 8, Section 2, ratifies the decision by the WBCCI Executive Committee to approve the 2022-2023 budget.
Please read your purpose, impact, background, and financial impact statement.
Purpose and impact. It is the duty of the WBCCI International Board of Trustees to approve the club's annual operating budget. This motion calls for the International Board of Trustees to ratify the budget approved by the WBCCI Executive Committee. Background. The club's operating budget is approved one fiscal year at a time by the WBCCI International Board of Trustees. Financial impact. See 2022-2023 budget.
All right, thank you. So now we're going to go questions from the board, and this is where if anyone has any amendments, it'd be appropriate to propose them. Questions from the board. Mr. Briggs.
Bruce, Region 4 President. I know you're tired of hearing from me. And I appreciate it very much. I would like to move that the vote on the budget be tabled until August 18th IBT meeting and authorize the current spending rate through August 18th, 2022.
Thank you. Do we have a second on that?
Second.
All right, second on that. All right, I need that text again. All right, let's do, we have a motion and a second. Are there any discussions?
Who gave a second?
Ginger.
Ginger did. Yeah. All right, this motion is to amend special order number 1, requires a majority vote. Are you ready for the question?
I'm sorry, I missed the discussion part of it.
Okay, discussion?
Would Brad share his reasons for deferring?
Yes, and it's not an order of reports. But I do think this is very important. Matt Hackney is absent from the meeting, and I think we should hear from our treasurer. I also think that the current or the old members on the board are used to receiving an email that has the budget in it. And we have a new process that we're getting used to, which is board effects, which I'm not sure every region president understands that the first and second VP, regional VPs are not on there, and that they're responsible for forwarding that information to the VPs, which I have not done. And I think it's, we just need a little more time to look at that. We've only had 3 days really with it. So I think we need more time and more people to talk about it.
Thanks, Brad. And just a clarification from Lori, if this passes, amendment to defer to the 18th and have a emergency authorization to continue operations as they are, does that impact your organization?
Or former corporate manager. So if we don't have an operating budget, then it won't work.
No, the second part of the amendment, that's why I wanted to call it out, was that Brad is proposing that we have, as part of it, I forget the language again, why don't you say it again?
I'll state the whole thing again. I move that that the vote on the budget be tabled until August 18th IBT meeting and authorize the current spending rate through August 18th, 2022.
So your question to me is, how will that affect me?
Yeah, could you describe the board, any impact so that we understand before or if we vote on it?
We can continue to operate at our current rate. The only thing that will affect is staff getting their increases. It'll be delayed. Because typically we do that on the 1st August.
And it is a practice to make those retroactive if the board approves the budget on the 18th?
Absolutely.
All right, great. All right, any other discussion on this topic? All right, the motion is to amend special order number 1, requires a majority of the vote to amend. Are you ready for the question? All right. Without objection, this motion will be approved.
I object.
Yep.
I object.
Okay, we have an objection.
Okay, roll call.
And now we go roll. And does everyone understand what we're voting on? Any questions? Explain what we're voting on now. The proposal tendered by Brad is that we defer adoption of the budget for 3 weeks until August 18th, which is our next scheduled IBT meeting. And in parallel, this allows us to operate on the current run rate, if you will, the current expenses, if you will, the same dollars per month until then. That's what's on the table. All right, Millie, any discussions, or I suppose you have to, any more you would add on your objectives? You don't have to.
Roll call. It's roll call. She objected to the vote.
Okay.
I see your point about Matt not being here, but Matt is the one that wrote the budget, worked with the budget, so he's represented in the papers here and was wholly supported. We knew he would be on the caravan. So delaying until he would be back would be way past August. And I think we should vote on it.
And the specific motion is delayed until August 18th. All right, so roll call vote. Just
No. It's pertinent to the question that was being asked.
Yes.
So we need to be mindful that if we don't have quorum at a virtual meeting on the 18th, we have no budget. So we kind of have to think about what that lack of quorum body would do to keep the afloat.
Any other comments or questions?
Should we have the raises or be retroactive if the budget is passed?
We can do when we approve it. Already budgeted.
I think at this point, let's. Hang on a second.
That could be included in the budget.
You have to do the roll call. I think so. It's already been called.
So, you know, it's not
I think
really
we,
the wires.
yeah, the advice is that we go to the budget, and the budget will be for the whole year. The budget isn't for month to month to month. And so the idea is that if you choose to approve the budget on the 18th, then it does, of course, include whatever expenses associated with labor in there. So the fact is, yes, it would be retroactive. All right.
The roll call vote. First Vice President, Per Hamquist.
Yes.
Region 9 President, Nancy Fitzgerald. Yes. Region 8 President, Greg Badner.
Yes.
Region 6 President, Larry Madden.
Excuse me, but to be clear, we're voting on Brad's amendment, correct?
Correct.
No.
Second Vice President, Karen Fisher. Yes. International Secretary, Terry Warren. No. Region 10 President, Kathy Giese.
No.
Third Vice President, Millie O'Donnell. No. Region 2 President, R.J. Marquette. Region 11 President, Stephen Parr.
Yes.
Region 5 President, Artie Martin, who's back with us.
Yeah.
Nod or shake?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. Region 1 President, Barb Fuller.
Yes.
Region 7 President, Ginger Slattery. Yes. Immediate past President, Ty Mott.
Yes.
Region 3 President, Christine Baum. Yes. Region 12 President, Laverne McHenry. No. Region 4 President, Brad Briggs.
Yes.
11 yes. 6 no.
Okay, the count is 11 in favor of the amendments and 6 no, so it does pass. And so now we will go back to the amended special order.
No,
Well,
no.
No, it's done.
It's done.
It's
This
done.
Special order.
Special order is defeated. Yeah, we're done.
We're going to consider the special order in.
Yeah, great. Okay, so, yeah, so on the 18th, there will be a discussion on the budget. It'll be brought to the board for adoption on the 18th. And we will make.
Resurface this one.
Correct, right. We will resurface on the 18th, and we will make sure that to the best of our ability, we have a quorum, right? Because we did have remote attendance on it. We definitely want to make sure that we don't go by past the 18th. It really is challenging for us to remain in operation. This also gives the board some more time to study the documents. You will have these in front of you in any detailed form you want sort of after this meeting.
And you know, on the, you have a quorum of 12.
The quorum is 12 and 18, so. All righty. Thank you. There's no unfinished business. Is there any new business? And one of the ones I've mentioned earlier, the chair has appointed a special committee chaired by past international president Mona Heath, which will review and develop a new nominations process. The committee will present its report before the end of the first quarter. Is there any further new business? And by the way, this is a time for input from board members and or the audience. If there is a concern or comment that needs to be discussed, now is the time to do it. All right, Brad.
Mr. President, I would like to encourage you to appoint a special committee to study how, now that we're going virtual, how we will do a executive session in this format. We currently have a Zoom that is run by headquarters, which is great. I have no problem with that. But if at some point in time, which I do not say we will, have to talk about employee executive session, we need to have a way that that's secure and not part of that. So I think we need to come up with policy and bylaws and a procedure to make that happen. And I'd like to suggest possibly that First Vice President Per Hamquist might head that.
Okay, I understand the question, and this is a really good question. You know, typically we have a provision for what's called a closed session. And that's where it's only the executive team, which does not include staff, meets on issues of personnel, legal issues, things like that. We've not really done that very often. It is able to be done over Zoom. I'm going to work with Tom, CBO Chair, and Joanne, parliamentarian, to see if we can rough something simple out and bring it back to the board. I think we don't have a standing special committee. I think we can probably figure it out. If not, we'll see how that goes. Thank you. Good idea. All right. Any other new business or questions or comments from the board or the audience? Okay, now we get to some fun stuff, right? So it's customary, and this is numbers. It's customary at this time for incoming region presidents to accept a 3-digit Airstream number. Some region presidents may choose to keep their number. The following new region presidents have requested 3-digit numbers: Bart Fuller, Christine Dahl, Ginger Slattery, Nancy Fitzgerald, and Stephen Parr. And Region 10 President Kathy Geese, who did not receive a triple-digit number when she became region president. So I just want to share also something that some of you may not realize. A couple of years ago, we provided the ability to have 2 big red numbers or more. You can have 10 if you want. And so what happens is that if you choose to get a big red number, be you an officer or anyone, you can register a second big red number at the cost of $10 per year, Lori? Secondary BRNs?
Yes.
Yeah, you can pay $10 a year to keep a second BRN. And this is important for people who have a trailer that they really have an affection for the big red number on, or if their spouse wants her own big red number. For example, I'm 153 and Region 12 President Laverne McHenry is 253. So anyway, there's a provision for doing that. You don't have to give up your own number. That's just general background. That's something that went into place a couple of years ago, which I don't think is really well understood. All right, Lori, I'm going to hand it to you.
Oh, no.
Is it drawing? How does it work, or is it? Okay, I'll hand it to you.
I'll just walk around the list. All right.
How are you going to do this?
No.
I'm just gonna draw a number. No, what happens is you draw the name. The name, oh, these are names. Those are the presidents that want, and then
they get to pick.
show them numbers that are available. That's exactly what happens with our membership. All right.
The first one is Nancy Fitzgerald.
Yay!
No pressure.
Oh, look. Oh, there's my birthday sorta.
I'll take 223. Well, 23. 223.
223 for Nancy.
Yeah.
Oh, very good. Next. Nancy, am I writing this down? 223. Next is
They
Stephen
didn't
Parr.
want it, I guess. They didn't want it.
Two. All right.
That's an easy one to remember.
Yeah, there you go.
How many twos were there?
Later, maybe.
Kathy Gazy, Region 10.
222, right?
Golly, I can't even decide what I want for lunch. How am I gonna do? Oh, 236, because 2 times 3 is 6.
236.
That's
I love that.
Kathy's 236.
Thank you.
You got to be a teacher.
Ginger Slattery.
Just pass it down.
I'm
going to execute my right as a woman to change my mind and just keep my number.
That's what I have done all the way through.
All right.
It is today.
Region 1, Barb Fuller.
It's mine.
28.
That when I'm done, we're done, president in the club, retired as a president.
I forgot.
I'll be the only person that
Replaced. And what's your number?
7719.
The bonehead book.
I had to add Kathy.
Oh, so that's the house number on there.
252.
What's left?
And finally, Christine Baum.
257.
257 it is. That's it.
That's right. Pretty excited.
Okay, now, so we're going to go back to the rest of the board and rep announcements. And so one thing you may have noticed in this one is that, traditionally, the announcement and discussion from the region president has happened after the meeting was adjourned. You notice it is now happening before it's adjourned, which means it will be on the record. It gives the opportunity to talk about things other than your rallies if you choose to. I think it's on the record, but whatever. So, I guess I have her what, can't I?
And but somewhere
I think
else.
that's fair. So Region 1 started last time. So we're going to start at the other end of
Favorites.
12.
Favorites.
So we're beginning Region 12. Do you have any announcements for the board or discussion with the board?
Repeat question.
When's that new trailer coming?
Announcement from the board, for the board on Region 12 activities or things of interest from your region.
Yeah, just a small one. One of the things I noticed at Region 12 rally, Region 10 rally, Eric went to Region 11 rally. We share, good practices. And we try to give each other information on rallies, what works, what doesn't work. What I realized is that sometimes we miss the small stuff. So an example is Region 12 always does each club puts together a donation package, a big basket, if you will. And we get competitive. Each club gets very competitive. Who's going to make the most money? And we do a silent auction. And the funds goes to a charity that's picked. This is a simple thing that it's just something that we do. I didn't realize other regions don't necessarily do that or are looking for good ideas on how to raise money. So my suggestion or my input to the board is maybe you could make the trip to go to another region rally. So you can observe the small stuff, right? The small stuff that is of interest, the small things that do make a difference. That's all I have.
Thank you. Region 11.
Yeah, the only thing I want to do is also echo that, the saying, have your unit clubs visit other unit clubs, and that way you share a lot of knowledge about the club.
Thank you. Region 10.
Kind of
pile on to that, we're finding we have 2 of the 3 largest clubs in this organization in my region. And then we also have some of the smallest. So what we're trying to do is partner the smaller clubs with some of the larger clubs doing joint rallies. And I'm hearing that's very, very helpful to get ideas about how you really get your smaller clubs up and going and feeling supported. Because part of that is just
I do a monthly Zoom with all of the presidents of the local clubs, and the ideas that are shared are just amazing things I hadn't even thought about for sure. So anyway, just that collaboration I think is really important.
Thank you. Region 9.
I don't know why.
Well, Mardi Gras National Event Rally is sold out within 3 hours of when it was. We're very proud in Region 9, which is Texas and Oklahoma, to enter into the national events rallies. It's very important. It's a goal of ours to become even more of a voice than we have been coming out of COVID. We're back. So we also plan a fantastic time in Bartlesville, Oklahoma, the last weekend in September. Those of you who are fascinated by Frank Lloyd Wright, we're putting together Frank Lloyd Wright and Wally Byam. In Bartlesville is the only skyscraper that Frank Lloyd Wright ever built. The Phillips 66 business building. It's now a boutique hotel, so we're going to boondock around that and enjoy exploring the history of these two iconic designs. Those of you who can't get enough of Texas, in March, we are having our region rally, and it'll be in Gonzales, Texas, which is the commentator headquarters. So if you want to learn about Texas history and come and have fun with us, we're gonna come and stream it in March in Gonzales. So we have some big things going on in Texas. And one last thing, we surely appreciate this wonderful rally. We feel like we came and we participated. We gave blood, we gave cinema, we cooked in Instapot. We feel like we were a presence in every part, and we appreciate so much the time that some of our leaders took to help some of our local clubs understand the process of what happened as we restructured and moved forward. It meant a lot, because I'm sure many of you saw the way the vote turned out, and we thank you. That's enough. You get the point. See you next year. We sure had a great time.
Thanks, Nancy. Region 8.
So Greg Banner, Region 8. Region 8 at this rally went berserk with happiness. And the reason was, and I don't remember this happening before, and I'm not sure that it was all over the fairgrounds, but we had several areas that were open within groups. And the reason that they, we have region lunches and breakfasts, but this allowed members to get together after hours from all of our 5 clubs that were here and party together, socialize, and then also some of our separate clubs did the same thing on a little smaller scale. We had neighbors coming over from other clubs and regions and partying hardy. We had people from Texas that stopped by, 3 individuals who said, well, we used to live in Missouri. We saw those people and the happiness, and we came to see what the heck was going on. Then more people came. So I just want to endorse, I don't know the cost of extra spaces throughout, but it was terrific. Thank you.
Thanks, Red. And Lori may talk about this, but this was not by accident. Lori's team had that as one of the objectives for this rally, and perhaps touch on that as we go around. We're just gonna keep running the loop, just going around.
It was great.
Thank you.
I think Jane Carmichael gave you most of the news from our region earlier. So I don't really have a lot to add, but we did have a lot of first timers from Minnesota and North Dakota that made the trip all the way out here. So, and they all had a wonderful time. We made new friends, some that we met in the rest stops on the way out here. So when you have an Airstream, you always have a conversation starter. So we thank Lori and Ty and everybody who just put on a marvelous rally. We had a great time. I'm looking forward to no meetings next year, though.
Thanks, Ty.
Just again, I want to thank everybody for being here, and hopefully we get everything packed up today before everybody takes off out of here so we can finish filling the storage container. But besides that, everybody have a safe trip home. Looks like the weather's going to drop in temperature here shortly.
Oh, sure.
We're actually in the 40s here next week, they told me.
Help from any of us here to help pack up? I mean, we're available.
We're gonna need help with people packing up. Yeah, there's still some things to be done, but I'm not sure since you've been in the meeting, I haven't seen what's going on.
I'll help. Anyone who wants to help out, I encourage you to give an offer to help. Thank you. Lori?
Just on the logistics of what's happening right now, I know part of my team's out running building to building, pulling things out, making sure people have what it is, and then Pete, which is the equipment folks that we rented some chairs and tables from. Chris is meeting them at 2 to start loading, taking their stuff, not the fair stuff, you know, that's always fun. So anyway, so Greg, thanks for mentioning that. That is something we're trying to incorporate in all the rallies, wherever the camping space is, to leave a site or two open. It's again, feedback from a survey that people want places to gather, not necessarily, you know, in a building, but just a little more space, right? Because we all have seen the circles and it's 4, 10, you know, 30 chairs in that big circle. So we hope to continue to do that.
Yeah, it's terrific.
Good.
I just want to make one more comment. I want to thank our video audio crew that's been here working diligently every time we needed them. Marcus, back there, they've been here to maintain all this stuff for us. They deserve a round of applause for that.
Thanks, Ty. It's a tremendous amount of work. Thank you. Joanne?
I just want to say I'm looking forward to working with this new board.
And
We've got a lot of
differences coming up this year, and it's going to be a growing experience, and we're all going to go through it together. So thank you.
Thanks, Joanne. I think now we're going to do one back around this way and they'll finish over here. Thank you.
We were blessed. Region 1, we haven't had a Region 1 rally or having the international rally here for a long, long time. And we've just had hundreds and hundreds of people out there, trailers from this area. So we're thrilled to have hosted it for everybody. We have lots of thanks. All those volunteers that were running around. I mean, this is an organization just made up volunteers. The fairgrounds thing, you know, they were awesome. You know, wherever we saw it, our executive board, I never saw so many garbage cans being moved in bags all throughout the hours, and people tramping down and getting injured in the canisters trying to dump them down. It was absolutely amazing. The volunteerism, just amazing. I also want to introduce our second vice president in our region is Eddie Carl. And I want to welcome him onto our board. He's going to host our region rally, and we didn't speak about the region rally earlier this week. I'd like to just give him a moment to tell you a little bit about what we're going to do in a very special spot.
Thank you, Bob. My name's Eddie Kyle. As he said, second VP for the
Region 1.
Thank you, Ty. We will be hosting next year on Cape Cod. If you want to come back to New England, we will be flocking the Cape. Pardon my language. We're going to have a region rally in June of next year. A week before the international, but I'm going to run out to the international right from the Cape. So if you're interested in coming back, we'd be more than happy to have you come and join us. Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you. Region 2.
Well, I think we had a really great time here this week, except for Ty picking on me all the time. He already spoke, so I'm good to go now. One of the things I'm seeing in our region, and Gary and First Vice President Gary and I are working on, is trying to document what the region presidents are doing or supposed to do. It seems like a lot of it was passed down verbally in previous years. And, you know, something you may not know, like I just became First Vice President only a few months before I became president. So, you know, Rich did a really great job trying to train me for this, but you know, you're going to miss details in that situation. So we're trying to spend some time figuring out what we're supposed to do and writing it down for the future. And, you know, I encourage the other regions to think about that and make sure you
have that documented as well.
Thank you, RJ. And I'm glad you mentioned that. One of the things that I think we are going to try to develop somewhat on is sort of the onboarding tools for new board members. Because people change quickly sometimes, and it's kind of a restart for a lot of people. So yeah, we're going to be working on that. We're probably asking for some help on that.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, Region 3.
Christine Baum, I am honored and excited to be here. I'm actually very grateful for the two gentlemen that stand behind me in my vice president roles, Bob Ely and Bob Hoffman, who is directly behind me today. I like to say it's me and my Bobs. Region 3 also has an amazing webmaster, and assistant webmaster, Wayne Clark. So our information about the many wonderful rallies that are coming up in Region 3 are available on their website, and I encourage you to check them out. So it was a wonderful rally. I must say, especially great food. So thank you.
Thank you. Region 4.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say that I appreciate what Lori Plummer does and her team, even though the comments and the questions I ask may not seem like it. I really do appreciate everything that headquarters does and Lori does. Thank you. I also appreciate the folks that are behind me, Fred Keel and Mike Pasto, who was here at the International but had to head home as he still works. I mentioned earlier that the 59th annual Swiss Festival National Rally is being held in September, the end of September, and we still have spots. So I'd love to have people sign up for that. I also would like to mention that next year's Region 4 rally is going to be Rendezvous in Kalamazoo, Michigan. So the dates on that is May 16th through the 21, 2023. And lastly, I'd like to add on to what Eric said at the very beginning. We are fiduciarily responsible to our club members, not only the people that are sitting at the table, but the people behind us. And with the new amendment, there's a possibility we could lose a little bit of organizational memory because we had people going up the ladder who was there. And so the organizational memory that's sitting behind us is very, very important. And I really challenged our first and second vice presidents to look over the documents, talk it over with their president on how we should proceed. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Brad. As I promised, we'll be getting those out to you in enough time now for the whole board to be able to digest and have good comments on. All right, so 5. Artie, are you able to
Hello,
speak?
can you hear me now?
Needs to unmute or something.
Can you hear me
Keep
now?
trying, and if I hear your voice, I'll jump back to you, but we cannot hear you right now. So I'm going to switch over to Region 6.
Larry Madden, Region 6. Mr. President, my comments for Region 6 may go over our time limit by a minute or two with the chair's permission. Thank you, sir.
Can you hear me
Something a
now?
little different. I was talking to my wife the other day, Terry, First Lady, Region 6. And we often talk about our region activities. As this club progresses forward, I think it's very, very important we remember where we came from and the heritage of this club. So I'd like to recognize the past presidents of Region 6 that I'm aware of and know, and for their contribution. Some of them have made very significant sacrifices to serve our club. Let's start with Charles Duran. Charles Duran was a Region 6 president and also an international president. Little sidebar to that is he worked for the FAA as an air traffic controller for many years. And in order to become the international president, he retired a year early, which has a financial impact on his life for the rest of his life to take that position. And that was his dedication to this club. After Charles, we had Lonnie Carver. Terry and I, first Region 6 rally was in Foley, Alabama, and Lonnie Carver was the Region 6 president. Her husband had been the president, he passed away. So Lonnie took the helm and continued forward, put on a great rally, and led right on through. And the continuity was just flawlessly. I'm going to screw this name up. Charles Bourgeois. Charles was a career Army guy, and his wife Helen, and they worked diligently hard to keep. That's back when we were doing our points for our different things and getting our flags and going on our mast and our awards and merit awards and such. It was a pretty laborious process back in the day, but they worked very, very hard, kept the club together, put on 2 successful Region 6 rallies. And unfortunately, health issues forced them to drop out earlier before the term was up. That's when Ken Reitenauer jumped in, and he took over the balance of Charles's term and pressed forward. And during his term, the Old Time Fiddlers Rally in Athens, Alabama was reinstated. The region lent TJ and Russ Pryor $5,000 in concert with the college, Athens College, to get the infrastructure back in. It has since paid back the region the money, and it's been a very successful deal. And it's now a special event rally, which we will be attending in the near future. After Ken and his wife Jean came up, Jim Johnson, which is when I really started, I got involved at that time. And Jim Johnson worked diligently for the IBT in Robertsdale. While I was there to help him, he pretty much single-handedly pulled that off and did a heck of a job. And then he guided the region through COVID. He didn't cancel our region rally. He just suspended or delayed it until the following spring. The rally went off fine. Nobody got ill. We did do some COVID and cleaned up a lot and one thing or another. And we delivered meals to trailers opposed to having everybody together. Nobody to my knowledge got sick, and he pulled it off very well. So it really brings us where we are today. Jen Heaver is my first vice president. David Gully is a name you're all going to be very familiar with in the future. He's my second vice president. And here I sit. I'm very, very happy and proud of Region 6. But the history is extremely important. We cannot forget where we came from. And one little sidebar to that is, back in the day, the Arkansas Razorback unit in the 70s and 80s, they built these magnificent yearbooks. When I first was the region Arkansas unit president, I adopted those books. There's probably 25 yearbooks all stacked up, and I spent one Sunday morning on the deck with a cup of coffee going through them. The fun and the history these people have had together because of this club is just phenomenal. I'm proud to say David Gully is now the caretaker of those scrapbooks, so they'll never go away. So that's my report from Region 6. Thank you very much.
That was fantastic. Thank you very much. Okay, we've got a plan to get Artie on speaker. Go ahead, Mark. Artie, is
it happening?
Artie, can you hear me?
Yes. Yay.
All right. Talk away, man.
Can anybody hear me now?
Yes.
No, sort of. Yes.
Very, very good. I'd like to say hi to everybody. Some of you know me, and some of them will be in the future, I'm sure. I'm looking forward to the challenge of for the second time. I guess I raised my hand one too many times. But in any event, we missed being there in Freiburg with you guys. Pam and I fully intended on coming up, but some of you may know that unexpectedly they found 2 aneurysms in my brain in February. I had brain surgery. So we're almost to the 2-month anniversary, and I feel good, and I think I'm going to make 100%.
Yay.
Recovery. And so one of the things we're going to focus on in Region 5 is volunteerism. It seems as though over the past 2 years it's been tumultuous with the pandemic and the economy. I do want to thank Chris Becklack and my predecessors for the hard work that they did throughout the past couple of years, which was tough on everybody, not just Region 5, but I'm sure it was tough on everybody. And one other thing I'd like to say is I remember back in Lewisburg, West Virginia, when we had our international rally there, and that occurred right after they had the tumultuous floods, and so many people died, and the Airstream Club teamed up together. I started working with Red Cross on the site, sorting donations, and was able to generate unheard of like $35,000 worth of donations. And that just reminds me to tell everybody to have lots of prayers for Eastern Kentucky. We've had rallies in this area over the years, and there's 25 people have died in the floods that have occurred there this past week. And to keep everybody in your thoughts and prayers. The donation, they got a national website where you can make donations if you so choose to do so. Eric, I look forward to working with you and everybody else on the board, and hope to see you soon. I wish I could have been there.
Thanks, Artie. Good to get your voice in here. I'm sorry, Millie. Artie.
I just want to say that it really is my honor to be here. I've been in the club a relatively short time compared to many of you. I think it's the end of my 6th year. But in that time, you may not know I'm a trained observer of people. And I've been watching people. Like this guy to my right was my cohort in the kitchen at an IBT in Sarasota.
Correct.
He washes a mean dish and he does the laundry. This guy over here, Craig, is the happiest guy in the park. Disneyland every day in his head. I want to be like him. This is an amazing family. You guys, I joined the club post-divorce and I was a little lost. And now I'm not. Thank you.
First, I want to thank all of the hundreds of volunteers that we had here that made this rally what it is. Some of them dropped in for an hour or two. Some of them signed up for huge committee chair positions. But I think everything went very well. We had great support from headquarters and from the rally team. So great job, everyone. I realized as I walked away from the meeting the other day when we also had an opportunity to make announcements is that I forgot to thank my husband, Wally, better known as Mr. Penguin or Iceman. But he, without him helping me deal with all the stuff behind me, I could never do what I do. So I want to thank him. He's not here, but hopefully somebody will tell him that I did at least remember him this time.
Yeah, great, well executed, lots of smiling faces. We definitely have a lot of good volunteers, and I'm glad to see that we're going to put more effort into celebrating volunteers and not just those of us who carry cool badges. I'd like to second Kathy Geese's comment about co-hosting. When I was unit president, I co-hosted several rallies with sister clubs in Region 1, including with Quebec. It's a lot of fun, and here's to losing members to sister clubs are overblown. It's actually really fun. I would also like to share Arnie Marquette's comment about a checklist for things to do as an official when you come to international, and what events you ought to attend and how you should prepare for them. I agree with Brad. HQ provides us with great support. We may need to put some effort into evolving policies and directives that empower HQ to do their job. Following up on Larry Madden, who mentioned the scrapbooks, we attended a 60th anniversary with the Quebec unit a little while back. They have the great privilege of having a member in their club who's been active since 1968, who's also an avid photographer, who's also past Region 1 president. Thanks to that, we saw a fantastic show of photos that span 5 decades. Watching people show up at Airstream rallies with sideburns, cool. So I think it'd be great if our History Standing Committee could put some effort into capturing such information before it disappears. A lot of this information is on paper, and I suspect boxes of that stuff are going out into the dumpster as people move on into other chapters of their lives. Thanks again.
Thanks, Jerry.
I want to thank Patty and Kathy, my co-workers here in the secretarial pool, and of course Linda Shelton for teaching me what she knew about this role, and to Eric for allowing me to help him here, and also to Lori, who I'm so sure she's sick of me asking her questions. I pop in, what about this? What about this? What about this? But thank you, Lori. You're one of the most responsive persons I've ever dealt with. And I want to thank Hal, my husband. So we were responsible, and Kathy Giese, my friend, we shared a house here, but we had 2 events we were responsible for. One was the first timers reception, and the other was the reception last night after the installation. With the first reception, we had ordered all this food from Shaw's, trays and trays of food. I mean, trays and trays of vegetables, fruits, meats, cheeses. So we packed them all in the car, and we were coming back, and there were trays like 4 up in the back seat, and somebody in front of us slammed on their brakes. And in the middle, there were broccoli and ranch dressing and everything all over us. I just didn't know what to say, so I said, we'll clean it up when we get there. And I've never seen people stack trays of food so high, but that was interesting. And then he helped me do the reception last night. So he's really a good sport, and I'm so fortunate to have him. And I'm excited about this position. Help him be patient with me as I learn it. So thank you.
Things are coming up. First of all, the board portal. It is remarkable. I think you all will find it quite useful. As you probably have heard, on the 18th, we're having a training by a lady, Amy, from Board Effect, and she'll go through overview how to use a portal. There'll be some other supportive documents. We also clearly understand that it's only right now for the board, which is the IBT. There is a desire to expand it out to the VPs. I'm going to work with Lori to figure out what that might cost. There is a cost, and I'm not sure we have the budget for it. In the interim, though, what's going to be happening, or the plan is that because we have to make our material available to the public anyway, we post it on the website normally 2 weeks ahead of time. The VPs will be able to see the material there. I understand that's not the same as being on the portal, but give us some time to take a look at it and look at the cost. We'll bring the cost back to you, and we'll see if that's a cost that we feel we want to incorporate into the budget. By the way, if you look at the board portal now, you can already see the draft agenda for the 18th. That's one of the beautiful things about it, is that you'll start to see probably 2 or 3 meetings out, some placeholders. And I kind of call this a legislative calendar. You know, it kind of feels like things come to you kind of random, but we want to kind of stage it out in order and time, so you kind of see what's coming up. So for example, if you look at the board portal, let me get back to where we're going to go back to. Lori is going to be on there for a deep dive on international rally roles and responsibilities. It's clear that's something we have to spend some time on a group sorting out. What I'm going to ask all of you to do is that as soon as you can, but well before 2 weeks before the 18th, get any feedback back to Lori directly. She's starting to work on a presentation, and I think that that presentation will be better if she knows your concerns ahead of time, such that she can tee them up and address them rather than during her presentation. So please get any feedback to her. She will greatly appreciate that. Also, you know, if you probably remember this, but our IBT meetings are set up once a quarter, you know. They're set up for 2 weeks after the close of our fiscal quarter. And that means that by the IBT meeting, we will have the financial statements ready. So you will have financial statements of the prior quarter. And what that means is we'll be able to take a look at how we're doing on our membership, because our primary revenue is from membership. And I know you all are going to want to know if we're starting tapering off or continuing the path. We also will be able to look at our expenses and other things. So our budget will be a part of every meeting. It won't be twice a year. Every meeting, we're going to have kind of a scorecard to show you how we're doing with respect to the budget. Also, the thought was that, we have some wonderful special committees, standing committees, and we heard one great update earlier from Kate. What I'm going to try to do is to get all of the standing committees and probably the intra clubs to come in front of the board. And I was telling this to Lynn Talsma yesterday or 2 days ago, that rather than write a report, which frankly doesn't get read that often by the board, I'm going to be inviting her along with, on the 18th, it'll be John Becker to come in to talk about their area. So for example, on the 18th, John Becker is going to come in and talk about our caravans. How are we doing? What's the strategy? What does he need from the board? Kind of what trends he's seeing, and give you guys a really good chance to have a discussion with John Becker rather than read a report. Either the same thing for VAC. I'm not sure the 18th of the next month. We're going to try to do it for all intra clubs and all. For example, I've talked with Mark Neidem, and there's some things that we really need to get in front of you all, or on how sort of what our technology expense roadmap is. I think you all want to hear that, and that'll come from a deep dive. So anyway, you'll start to see our standing committees show up on the board agendas for like a 20-minute or half-hour deep dive discussion. It may not be a motion, it just may be a discussion of how we're doing. You'll also see on the 18th that we have a motion from Hilly to develop a lighter version of our intra clubs. Like, for example, there was a group of our members who were interested in forming something for disc golf. You could argue that that probably doesn't warrant a treasurer, a president, a secretary, bylaw. It's disc golf. And so there's an acknowledgement that there may be different structure that we want to put in our bylaws for interest groups. Someone that doesn't take money, but they want to get together. Escapees calls these birds of a feather. So Mila's going to bring that to you all on the. Also, there will be a motion to approve Pride Streamers. It's a provisional charter. Would be our LGBTQ plus intra club. That's up there too. And I think that's it. It's going to be a busy meeting. Budget. And of course, budget. Yes. Yeah, and budget. I think that's about it, other than give feedback. Give it to me, since you're board members. We're trying new things. The installation last night, it was partly predicated by the size of the stage, but also we wanted to try something a little bit different. Talk to your members, your regions, find out how they liked it. That'll be good input for us for future installations. The same thing for IBT meetings or other things that we're doing. We are going to be trying some new things. I guarantee not all of them will work out the way we hope. We got to get that feedback near term on what worked and didn't work. All right. I think that's it. So I think that this concludes the IBT meeting for July 30th. Thank you for attending this meeting, and the meeting is adjourned. Thank you.